Hello and welcome to the Comic Conspiracy, episode 331 for the week of November 7th, 2017. I'm Ryan Higgins. I don't even know. That's Brock. That's Charlie. Look, I don't know where the fuck Bryce
Brock
and Toby
Singer,
is.
okay?
Doesn't matter. Bryce and Toby, who fucking cares? I don't swear in the first 10 seconds of this podcast too often. Everything we're going to talk about today has been thrown out the window.
Oh, you tossed it. You were like...
Doesn't matter. We're still going to get to some legacy bullshit, and we're going to talk about Thor. Holy shit, guys.
Yeah.
Finally, news happens on Tuesday before we record the podcast. This is incredible.
And it is really incredible news.
Brian Michael Bendis.
Who's this guy again?
17-year veteran of Marvel Comics, head writer for the entire company, worked on the vast majority of the early Marvel movies, a company man if I've ever seen one. For all intents and purposes, the head of Marvel Comics on a creative level.
Yeah, we've been living in Bendis' Marvel world for over a decade now.
It's 17 years. He started in 2000 with Ultimate Spider-Man. Announced this morning that he left, or he's leaving Marvel, because he just signed a contract with DC Comics.
Exclusive contract.
Yeah.
Let me read the official announcement here from DC, because... You know, Rob Liefeld tried to claim on Twitter today that, actually, Mark Miller's exclusive comic books coming out by Netflix is actually the biggest news of the day. Rob Liefeld's an even bigger idiot than you already think he is. This is monumental on a level that I can't even begin to describe. Like, this is the biggest... This might be the biggest news story in comics this year. Like...
Yeah.
Outside of... I mean, like on a creative level, this is the biggest news story.
Yeah.
Let me read this article. Let me read this quote from DC. The tweet was, "We're so excited to start working with Brian Michael Bendis," but the actual images they posted was their statement. "We are beyond thrilled to welcome Brian Michael Bendis exclusively to the DC family with a multi-year, multifaceted deal." Remember that part. "He's one of the premier writers in the industry, having created so many unforgettable stories wherever he's been, and we can't wait to see what he has planned for the DC universe." That multi-year, multifaceted deal, he's going to be working on the movies and TV shows and stuff. Him and Jeff Johns have been buddies for a long time, and they've talked about doing stuff together, and they're always tweeting back and forth about trying to, can we do a crossover? Can we work together? Now, what's funny is I have a bunch of thoughts on this. Minutes before recording, Bleeding Cool posted an article. So we can talk about that article in a second here. But, I mean, this isn't quite Disney buys Marvel level, but this is, I think, one of the biggest news stories this decade in comics. This is something bad's going on in Marvel now for this type of happened.
If Brian Michael Bendis is leaving Marvel and just leaving Marvel, period, not going to do his own independent work, just leaving Marvel and going...
That I would have understood.
Like, going straight over to DC.
Yep.
That means that Marvel has burned him and burned a bridge bad.
If he went and said... If he showed up at Image Expo and said, I'm moving all my Icon stuff over there, totally makes sense. Powers, brilliant, and whatever the next issue that comes out in 5 years. That would totally make sense.
Yeah.
Going to DC, that is just that is absolutely crazy. I seriously woke up. Here's my Ryan's morning routine. Okay, for people that want to hear this.
Spoiler for.
So this is a shower scene. Don't worry. So I wake up. I usually wake up around before my alarm goes off. I'm one of those people. I cannot sleep in. Got up maybe like right when the alarm was going off. I usually wander over to the computer, just reload my email, reload Twitter, kind of, just going to see what was going on. And I had a lot of mentions on Twitter, and I was like, okay. And I saw this post was retweeted from DC a bunch, and I was like, my brain couldn't really process what it was saying.
You hadn't had your coffee yet.
And I'm reading it, and I'm like, what? Is this real?
Is it April Fool's Day?
So I tweeted like kind of a funny thing, and I got took a shower, took the dogs for a walk, came back, made breakfast, got my coffee, sat down. Like an hour later or so, and I sit down, I'm like, check my tracking for the packages this morning. I'm like, all right, wait, this is real. This really happened. I honestly, for like a minute, was like, did I dream that? When I woke up, like I couldn't even believe it was real.
Well, I know we had talked a couple of times, even on the podcast, being like, well, what if so-and-so? And I know we have literally said a few times, well, it would be cool if Bendis was on this, but that would never happen.
No, every single person currently working at Marvel, I would put above Bendis leaving and going to DC.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm talking like on an editorial level. I'm talking on like not just because editors can move around. Yeah. Like a guy like Bendis going to DC is there's a huge story that someone knows, and I'll be curious. This Bleeding Cool article, we'll be curious to see how accurate this is. So let me pop this guy open real quick, and again, it's Bleeding Cool. It's Rich Johnson. You got to take this with a little bit of grain of salt, but
but at least it's Rich and not what's his face. The one you hate.
Oh, Jude Terra?
Yeah.
I'm sure he'll have his hot takes on it, too. So, according to Rich, the rumors he had heard is that a lot of this springs out of the Marvel Comics Writers Summit that was right before New York Comic Con, which I feel like we talked about here. There were some rumors that there was like that Writers Summit did not go well. Did we talk about that?
We didn't talk about the Writers Summit. We talked about the retailer meeting.
The retailers, right. Yeah. The retailer meeting was a fucking shit show.
I think there was, because of that retailer shit show, I think a lot of things came up from the Marvel Writers or Creators Summit.
It was before. It was
before, but I think because of that a little more of that came out. But we didn't talk about it.
Okay, yeah, I don't know the timeline. I remember hearing after New York Comic Con that there was this Marvel Summit, but it was kind of a shit show. But again, I don't know specific knowledge on that. So if you look right now at Bendis' output, he's writing Jessica Jones. He was writing Guardians, Defenders, Spider-Man, Spider-Man 2, Invincible Iron Man. He did Civil War 2, obviously, but after that, he had nothing to do with Secret Empire.
Well, wasn't he doing Infamous Iron Man?
Well, right, yeah. But now combined with whatever the hell it is, Invincible Iron Man, yeah. So I'm going to quote a little bit here from Rich Johnson article. He says, however, the books weren't getting the big numbers like they used to, and a number of them were subject to being later than usual, which I don't recall. I don't recall any of his stuff being late.
Not drastically.
Late. I mean, most of his stuff was coming out on a fairly regular click. I mean, I think
Spider-Man 2 took years to do, but I don't think that's...
Well, I think that like Infamous Iron Man and Incredible Iron Man, they fluctuated a little bit, but they were still mainly once a month.
Yeah, if they were a week or two off once or twice, that's nothing. Yeah. That's nothing.
Also, Bendis has a track record of cranking out scripts so far in advance. Typically, delays were caused by the artist.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It says, his contract was up and the likelihood of getting a raise was low, which, they bring up here a lot that the Marvel Comics Creative Committee, which has been basically gutted by Kevin Feige, and now he's, because he's not involved in the movies at all anymore. So he's no longer part of that. He's written everyone at Marvel. So let me read this. Let me read this verbatim here. It says, so the Marvel Comics Writers Summit before New York Comic Con, we mentioned how the issues of increased diversity of Marvel Comics and how to deal with negative reaction towards that was a significant aspect. So the editors were talking about, how to combat trolls on Twitter, right? Mm-hmm. I am told that Brian Bendis, creator of Miles Morales and Riri Williams, had quite the disagreement with David Gabriel, whose interview on ICV2 regarding diversity at the publisher needed repeated clarifications. That was
what we talked about that.
Yeah. Now, David Gabriel, I've had many interactions with this guy, not in person, online, and through conference calls and stuff like that, and through email. I don't know how to read him because my early interactions with him were fucking horrible. Mm-hmm. He was awful, all right? Coming into this year, but I don't know if that's him or if that's Marvel. It's tough. When you're like a sales guy or a PR guy, he's not PR, but he's the face. Yeah, he's the face to the retailers and a face for a lot of the sales stuff. That's a fine line. You gotta tell that company bullshit, but you got to put a good spin on it, and he never had a good spin on it.
No.
And his if you guys, God, I wish I could invite the world to look at the Marvel Facebook retailer forum and the DC Facebook forum.
Mm-hmm.
It is night and goddamn day in there.
Mm-hmm.
And David Gabriel runs the Marvel one, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I just don't know if this guy's just maybe terrible at his job. Maybe he's a super nice guy, but just awful at his job. I have no clue what this guy's deal is. But a lot of these like variant covers and these pushes are come from him. So he did a good job, I think, of trying to fix some of this stuff. But then we have all those lenticular, the nightmares from lenticulars of all the legacy books. I don't know if you guys saw my tweet. I think you did, Brock. From Larry's Comics out in Massachusetts, where he was like, "These numbers are insane for FOC." We did FOC on Monday for Phoenix, Guardians 150, and Avengers: the first part of No Surrender, and I'm like, these numbers are 3 to 4 times what I would even consider ordering
just to hit the variants.
Just to get the variants. I'm like, fucking what? Anything Marvel fixed within the last 6 months,
they've unfixed and made worse.
They've doubled down and gone the other way. Yeah, it's ridiculous. The
thing is, they haven't even done it for a full 6 months. I mean,
no.
They've been doing it for maybe like 2 seconds when people were throwing a fit, and then they changed right back to the same old BS.
Yeah. On top of this, so they had the Phoenix variant covers that were supposed to ship in the month of December or January for Phoenix #1, right? I had pre-orders. I took pre-orders on those sets because I'm like, yeah, we'll be able to hit those, no problem. No, I can't qualify for a single one of them. I had to cancel all the pre-orders. Even going with Elusive, one of the other stores around here that we've split orders occasionally to match up on a few of those variants we missed. No, we couldn't do it. We're like, fuck them. Fuck Marvel. But this FOC is one of the biggest Marvel FOCs I've seen in a while because it has all those 3 books that all have lenticular covers, right?
Yeah.
So on top of the regular
and
stuff.
one of them has the 1 in 2,000 variant.
These ridiculous numbers. DC's FOC this past week, the FOC Final Order Cutoff, it's our weekly order form.
We call it something else.
You call it something else.
But you still laugh when I do.
The DC one was like annuals and some trade paperbacks. My DC order was bigger than this Marvel, which was like basically 2 weeks of Marvel comics. Mm-hmm. And this was like a 5th week order for DC. So the numbers are awful. Just even worse post-Legacy. And the whole thing with David Gabriel, I'm like, man, I don't know what is going on, but this guy either needs to get fired or they need to get someone else in there that can clean house. I don't know what it is, but I'm going to continue here. So he had a big disagreement with David Gabriel regarding the diversity, which I'm assuming Bendis says we need to push it harder, and Gabriel saying we're going to pull back from it, but I don't know. But that's how I'm reading this. Then there was a decision made to give the title simply called Spider-Man to the Peter Parker iteration of the character in 2018, rather than the current Miles Morales, which would become Miles Morales Spider-Man again, a battle Bendis thought he had previously won for Marvel Legacy. So according to this, they're pulling the Spider-Man title again and giving it to Peter Parker after they just fucking renumbered it.
Yeah.
And Miles Morales Spider-Man will now be called Miles Morales Spider-Man again. I'm almost wondering...
1?
Who knows? I almost wonder if they're just going to
follow the ultimate numbering.
Well, I just wonder if they're going to give him a whole new name entirely. Because at this point, just give him a different code name, I guess. I don't know what you do with him at this point. Mm-hmm. Gabriel told Bendis the diversity doesn't sell. The counter to that being what does, besides Dan Slott's Amazing Spider-Man and Star Wars, both which the numbers are dropping pretty severely on. Says this fight isn't why he left. It was part of the overall discontent. He was losing his swagger. None of his friends were there anymore. It was time to leave the stage to get a brand new spotlight. He's buddies with Jeff Johns. Mm-hmm. John Romita Jr. is already over there. Oliver Copiel's at DC. Alex Maleev doesn't have a contract. Some of the tweets by Hickman at the time when all this news broke suggested very heavily that Hickman either knew what was going on, or he was kind of following him over.
We've heard rumors that Hickman's going over to DC anyway.
Yeah, I mean, nothing official, but who knows? David Marquez, who's doing Defenders right now, Sarah Pacelli, who's doing Spider-Man. I would love to get those guys over at DC and girls over at DC. I don't.
Well, It's like, how do you shoot yourself in the foot that bad to piss off the top creative talent at your company? Like, what? Like, that would be like John's getting pissed off at DC and leaving.
Well, right, yeah. I mean, John's leaving DC would be even bigger because at this point, John's is actually actively involved in beyond an editorial level. He's involved in the movies. He's involved in he's involved in all sorts of stuff, right? So, there is no equivalent. I mean, we're looking at Kirby going from Marvel to DC. We're looking at when Stanley did those Stanley Presents at DC. Mm-hmm. We're looking at, I mean, is there a DC equivalent of? I mean, not Brubaker. I mean, DC's lost people to Marvel, but nothing like this.
No,
nothing like this.
Creatively, the John's analogy worked better a few years ago because John's basically became the face of the stories at DC. And before he moved into sort of doing all the TV and films more heavily, that was sort of the thing. And it seemed like Bendis was on a similar track at Marvel.
Yeah.
Until the big shakeup with the movies and everything else. Right. But even then, it seemed like he was still involved in like the Netflix shows and the cartoons for a while there. But
yeah, so I don't claim to know exactly how this stuff works, but I believe that the cartoons and TV show stuff is still handled by Ike Perlmutter and Marvel, more closely related to Marvel. The movies are all Disney at that point. At this point, Marvel has nothing to do with the movies anymore. Guys like Dan Slott being actively involved in the Spider-Man cartoons. Yeah. I don't know what Bendis is. Maybe executive producer. I mean, is he actively in the credits of like some of the more recent last 10 years?
I haven't paid attention enough to the Netflix shows to say, but I know
at Netflix. I don't think he's. Yeah. I don't think he's
when they were doing the Ultimate Spider-Man cartoon and like that era of stuff. He was
involved in that. Okay. Yeah. We had a bunch of different questions here from people about the Bendis thing. We'll cover some questions later, but let me go through some of this stuff. Brandon Holmes says, realistically, what does this mean for Marvel? No big deal, monumental, a possibility of Mark Waid's return. Well, no, Mark Waid will never go back to DC. At least he has said publicly, and I believe he still stands by this, that he will not go to DC while Dan Didio is there. So now that Bendis is there, maybe that'll change. But no, monumental. One of the biggest news stories of the last 20 years in comics. Mm-hmm. This is a humongous story. Keith has a interesting take that I've seen a bunch of people have here. He says, I think, and now due to Twitter upping most people's accounts to 280 characters.
That's me, baby.
We're getting some longer messages here, so...
I got words.
Keith says, I think Bendis is more of a symbolic loss than a material loss for Marvel, as Bendis was pretty stale. DC will probably invigorate him, though. But who takes his place on Miles Morales, Jessica Jones, the Defenders? His suggestion for Miles Morales is David Walker, who's doing Luke Cage right now, I think. Chelsea Kane for Jessica Jones. I don't know who Chelsea Kane is. Sure. It's possible that Bendis's more recent output hasn't been up to par, and I'll kind of agree with that. I mean, I think Defenders is great, but he hasn't had that. The last couple of years, he hasn't been like that A-list writer status that everyone's going to read regardless.
The thing is he's been writing a lot of stuff.
He always has. The question is, though, is that Marvel? Is that, is it his own lack of quality, or is it Marvel and Disney corporate structure that's...
Well, just look at the books that he brought up. Defenders, Jessica Jones. These titles, they're going to struggle to keep around because of the TV shows.
Yeah.
Right? So, of course, they're going to try and shove people in there, but is it going to be up to par or up to
the sales aren't.
The thing about Jessica Jones and, by the extension, the Defenders book's kind of a different thing, but the Jessica Jones thing, if they were smart, they wouldn't try to force to keep it around, because that character has had a singular voice for the last 17 years. They're going to try and keep it around, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But it would be a mistake.
Has anyone written her except for him?
Not as far as I know.
Maybe like in a crossover or something weird.
Maybe in a backup story somewhere.
Yeah.
But I mean,
she was mostly in Alias, and then she came into
Pulse, and then
like
Avengers,
Sandman,
and then
like Sandman, and some of the stuff he might have some agreement with Marvel where it's like, this ain't your character. Mr. Dystopia on Twitter says, how long before it's announced that John Romita Jr. is going to be artist for his first work with David Finch on covers? Hopefully not.
Yeah, please don't.
Well, Romita Jr. is doing he's doing that other book. Is it Silencer? Is that the one? He's doing one of those
DC Heroes.
New Age Heroes titles.
Yeah,
People want to call it Dark Matter, but
I think it's Silencer.
Yeah.
It's the female assassin or spy or whatever.
Ulysses says Bendis would be a perfect fit for Shazam. I don't see that. Or any Batman title, or maybe Justice League. I mean, maybe. I mean, I'd love to see Bendis or Batman. Sure, of course. Now, let's just do the question that everyone asks: like, what DC book would you want to see written by Bendis? One of Bendis's strengths, whether you like it or not, but it is a strength of his, it's just not everyone's style, is he does character and just character interactions, I think, very well. Just the character's conversation. Bendis doesn't work for me so much when you get to the big events, when you get to the major stories, but on a personal, like kind of that one-on-one level.
I love his solo character books, like Jessica Jones, or limited team books that he does, like Defenders.
Yeah.
I like those. When, I was reading his Ultimate Spider-Man, I really enjoyed that stuff. I haven't been able to go back to read his Daredevil stuff yet, but I heard it's really, really good. When I came back into comics 11 years ago now, it was when he was writing New Avengers, and we were getting this, and he was doing the teams. I was like, okay, all right. Like, it was, I was interested in it. But over time, his team books and his team dynamics just lost some of that, like, really personal character development that he's really well known for. And it came to the point where I would read a team book of his, and you could swap the dialogue from any character, and it didn't matter who said it.
That's always been him, though. That's always been him.
No, in his team stuff,
yes. But
in his solo stuff, like where it's more one character centric, it's really deep and it's really, really well done. His Jessica Jones, like Charlie said, he's been the voice of Jessica Jones for 17 years, and he nails it all the time.
Sure, but I mean, yeah, Bendis on his team character, he writes a very specific way. So when he does a team book, a lot of the characters sound the same. But that's nothing new. When he writes Jessica Jones, most of the characters sound the same. Obviously, there's two big books out there, Legion and JSA, that a lot of people are asking about. And I don't want to say that they're holding on to one of these for him. But the thing with Legion and JSA, more so than Justice League, is that they tend to be more character-focused and less big arc-focused, big tie-in or big crossover. If you read the the Jeff Johns run on JSA, huge cast, very character-centric, much less so major event-centric. I think it's... again, I'm not going to say JSA is the perfect fit for him or Legion, but a cast like that I think would work because you would have so many characters to play with. There's a lot of stuff he can do. The easy answer is something like Gotham Central, or a book similar to something like he already has, like he's already done. Bryce,
what's up?
Hold on.
How much have I missed?
Is your mic on? Hold on. Why don't you try talking?
Hello.
Why don't you try talking a little bit more?
Brian Michael Bryce here.
Try talking now.
Father of all dad jokes, Bryce Larsen.
Try talking now.
I'm running out of jokes, Bryce Larsen.
Okay, yeah, you're fine.
Alrighty.
I can edit all of that out.
Yeah, I'm sure you will. So.
Now that Bryce is here, we're in the middle of talking about the biggest news story. Bryce, I know your train was running a little late. You missed the first part. I'm sure you can guess what we've been saying. What the fuck?
Totally random.
We're answering some questions.
I have so much to say.
But say what you got to say, and then we'll wrap you into these questions.
Okay, so ultimately, I mean, I was tweeting about a bunch of it already. I think that it's kind of already largely been said before, but that won't stop me, Lord knows. So I think it's really good. Ultimately, I think that he's told his stories he's going to need to tell a long time ago. And I'm not really sure why they put him in charge of Civil War II. I didn't even remember that he was in charge of Civil War II until briefly a couple weeks back. But unless he's doing some crafty behind the scenes stuff, I don't really see that he's had a guiding hand in much recently. And so
the question posed earlier was, Bendis's recent output hasn't sold to what it used to sell. Is that due to his personal lack of quality? Is he just not writing as well as he used to? Or is that corporate coming down and kind of crushing his ability to work? Or is it just general malaise in Marvel sales and in general? Or what's your take?
So what I've thought for several years is that Bendis's run, as lauded as it was, and I do believe it was, is sort of like how a lot of musical artists experience the quote-unquote the sophomore slump. I was going to say freshman flop. That's not a thing, but now it is. You're welcome. How people spend their whole life, artists, I'm talking about musical artists, they'll, frequently, not all the time, obviously, but a lot of the time, musical artists are prone to spending, their whole young life crafting, putting all their soul and energy into like these certain tunes, and so they'll have breakout first records, but then they get signed to a record contract, and they can't really do much more beyond that. It's obviously not a one-to-one equivalent in this case, but I do think that it's applicable, where I think that he had a great story to tell. I think that every story that he told had a great premise, and I think that he's a much better idea person than I mean, we've talked about this ad nauseum, than finishing stories. I think that all of his ideas were incredible. I'm not sure that the endings all lived up to what the story ideas could have been. And I think that it definitely petered out towards the end with Siege. And I even liked Siege, God help me. But I think that he had this amazing arc planned, starting with Disassembled and ending with Siege. And then after
like House of M and like through all that.
Yeah, through House of M, that was after Disassembled, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
yeah.
All right. I think
Disassembled, House of M, Secret Invasion.
I'm sure that he didn't have it all written down, but I think that he probably had the pieces in his brain. And Marvel, to their credit, saw this young talent when he was doing the Jessica Drew book, Alias, and they were like, "Okay, we got to get this guy." And he was probably young and frankly hungry. I think that plays a big factor in this whole thing. He was really a young, hungry artist that had like great ideas and great passion for everything. And then, I mean, pun not intended, he sort of became a fat cat at Marvel. The guy behind the scenes with everything, as he certainly deserves to be, because he paid his dues.
Well, we were talking earlier, when Marvel Studios started up and when they sold to Disney, he was part of that Marvel Creative Council, which is now completely gone, right? So he went.
Is it completely gone? I didn't.
From the movies. Oh yeah. Marvel has nothing to do with the movies anymore. They're
that's shocking. They're still incredibly good.
Like John's, when he went up, Bendis was on that same trajectory, and that's gone, right?
Yeah.
So
I see him ever since Siege as basically doing a bunch of Jessica Drew and Luke Cage related books.
Jones.
And what did I say?
Drew.
He wanted it to be Jessica Drew, but it's Jessica Jones.
And he did that one.
And he did Jessica Drew. Yeah, he did write Spider-Woman.
And a freaking S-ton more Guardians than anybody wanted. I sort of saw, from my perspective, which is as far away from the in the know that as could be, they were kind of like, look, we need these titles to become popular because they are going to be media pieces. A like i.e. movies and or TV shows, you write this story, you write this title, it'll have your name on it that has so much cachet. It'll sell really well, or at least get more eyes on it. But I think that his time as like a hungry artist is like so long past. And that's not to say that he got bad. I mean, I haven't liked much of what he's done in several years. Civil War II, again, I'd be surprised how much of that was like him versus they were just like, oh, we need to make Captain Marvel more popular because she's going to have a movie. Let's put him on it. Everything else that they've put him on. So, yeah, I mean, I think that he's told the tales that he was most passionate about and that he was going to be the best at telling, and his sort of Claremont golden era days are long gone. So I'm really excited for DC. Hopefully he has something that he can do for DC.
Let's we're gonna keep going on here because we got a bunch of questions.
Yeah,
and we've been kind of answering these before you got here. So
sure.
About the Bendis stuff before we move on.
Bring it on.
So Ulysses, he had a bunch of questions. We'll get to some more of these later. He says, "What's your favorite Bendis run?" His is Daredevil. So like of runs from Marvel.
Oh my God, there's no better Bendis run. So okay. I mean, I'm saying this. I've not read the Daredevil run. I've heard it's incredibly good. So I'm not saying that that's not good. I just haven't read it, and I have heard it's really amazing. So go check that out if you're inclined. But man, during the it was in about the middle of his run when he was getting into Secret Invasion, when Secret Invasion wasn't quite happened. It was post-Disassembled, and the whole idea was that he'd been planting seeds that the Skrulls were there between the Avengers book and New Avengers book that he was writing, sort of like how Hickman had his 2 Avengers books that he was writing both of them, and really you were better off if you were reading both of them at the same time, right before Secret Wars. But man, to me that's the golden arc of Bendis's writing, was sort of in the first half, but sort of like the first third, right before Secret Invasion, right after Disassembled, when he was doing both New Avengers and the Avengers titles, and they were all sort of relating to each other. And he did the greatest Peter Daviding of like planting seeds 20 issues before he would get to it. Really good stuff.
That was after Civil War is when they broke up the 2 books.
Okay, so then maybe I'm saying starting Civil War and going through to the end of Secret Invasion. Man, that was really good.
Yep.
Yeah, that's my answer.
I mean, mine's Jessica Jones, no question. The original series was so good. And, Pulse, I didn't like. Pulse did nothing for me. Yeah. Okay. Alias and now Jessica Jones.
Yeah.
Pulse was the series he did in between, kind of, I mean...
Pulse was really good. I mean, I think... let me rephrase. Because I agree, not really good.
They made it like a PG-rated Jessica Jones. It just didn't work.
Right, so I would say a sleeper hit. It did not get the credit that it was deserved.
Yeah. Well, again, Alias didn't sell for shit either, but comparatively to probably what they wanted.
Touche.
So yours too, Alias?
Oh, Alias, hands down. And regardless of how it's sold in single issues, it is...
Yeah.
Made up for it in trade and hardcover. And
I really haven't read too much of the early stuff. I need to read the Daredevil stuff and the Jessica Jones Alias stuff. But,
yeah, it's really good.
Yeah,
I mean, I really enjoyed his Ultimate Spider-Man stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like that stuff was really good.
Early,
that was so good too.
That was hard for me to go just
First couple of
because
years.
It's one of those things where I can kind of identify, and this is the trade where he started to lose me.
Yeah.
Like that.
First couple of years was good, and then
Yeah.
No, I disagree. I think that he was good until Peter Parker died at the, what was it? Not Ultimatum. Is it Ultimatum? Mm-hmm. I think that he was good all the way to Ultimatum. I think that he I think the whole thing...
Parker survived Ultimatum.
Yeah.
But didn't he die, but then he came back or something? I thought that there was something...
I'd been gone for 5 years at that point. I never read any of that
So
stuff.
I thought that his Ultimate Spider-Man stuff was incredible, and
I never read a single Ultimate book with Miles Morales. I never read a single title with him until the new stuff. So
I got off it after they killed Peter Parker. I was like, well, I guess this is a good point to jump off. But I think my opinion of the Ultimate Spider-Man stuff was that it never got better or worse. It was just super consistent. I mean, he had that record-breaking run with Bagley, right? Like, I don't like Bagley now so much as I did when I was a kid, but I mean, you got to say, like, having the same writer and artist on a book for, like, an unprecedented amount of issues at a time is just going to be good for a book. I was trying to find a caveat, and I have none because I just agree with myself.
Yeah. My issue with the Ultimate line, and I'm sure I've said this before, is when it started, I loved the whole mission statement of it's a modern retelling of all these classic stories. And I didn't mind it if they changed certain elements of the classic stories, as long as they were kind of this classic retelling of like those stories. When they really started to diverge into like Doc Ock being a mutant and that kind of stuff, that's where that's where I really started to be like, this is starting to bother me too much.
There's a lot of off-the-wall stuff. Like, do you remember Deadpool? Like, Deadpool was nothing like Deadpool.
Yeah.
Like, stuff like that did certainly annoy me, but you know, they had to try a certain number of things, and no story's going to have like 100% track record.
Well,
they were coming out 3 times a month, or I'm sorry, every 3 weeks.
Well, I think part of it is they changed from we want to tell classic stories to we need to tell new stories at some point, which the idea of taking these classic characters and modernizing certain things, but keeping them still the classic characters is what resonated with me. When it comes to we need to turn Wolverine into Cable and stuff like that, I think they're just going for we want to be more shocking. We want to get people talking. And it's not so much about revisiting.
Okay, fair enough. I didn't find that, but
you weren't upset that they turned
I'm more handsome,
Cable
you're more intelligent
into Wolverine in the Ultimate Universe?
That didn't happen in Ultimate Spider-Man, though.
No.
Well, we're talking
that's
about.
That's okay.
Bendis.
I'm still never going to forgive that.
I actually, I would say embarrassingly, but I'm not embarrassed. I have not read all of Ultimate X-Men because they lost me early on, and I never went back. So that's news to me that they did that. I do think that for Spider-Man, they didn't really venture out much beyond the original canon trying to fit into the quote-unquote modern day, because they would have like the 6-issue Carnage arc, and then they would go right into the 6-issue Clone Series arc, and then they would say like, what are the biggest hits from Spider-Man's 50-year history, and let's put them into 6-issue arcs. But I mean, largely, I didn't mind that. Until they killed him at the very end, I was on board the whole time. I mean, obviously, some arcs were much better than others, and in the whole run of 150 issues or whatever it was, 200 issues, I mean, the graph of quality over time goes, slightly down and to the right, but not so far down. I think that the average is still above, average.
So Ryan on Twitter asks, who should take over?
God, now you're just asking yourself questions. Let me guess. Why is Justice League so good?
Who should take over Bendis' Marvel titles? More importantly, the Defenders book. I'm sure it'll be Ed Brisson and Jerry Dugan will just take over them all. And
is it not Bryson?
Bryson?
I got my son doing some work.
I'm sure it'll just be Jerry Dugan writing like 6 more books. I have no idea. I mean,
do you think
who's left?
Do you think they'll get Ewing to do it?
No, he's going to be doing Legion. So. So I got a lot of questions that are very similar in tone.
The actual answer to that question, do you want answers?
Yeah, if you want to. Yeah.
Tweet at yourself and then answer yourself, and then that was it.
Let's take over Defenders.
So I have this, when this first happened, I got a little excited. I was like, oh my God, that means we're not going to have all of the crap stories. And look, I say crap. Half of them I'm not reading. The other half I'm not reading. But like his Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, Guardians, Defenders, like all his books that nobody wants, but he keeps shoehorning into the Marvel Universe, are just not going to have writers, and so they just won't have them anymore. I think that's great for the Marvel Universe.
You don't think they're going to have Defenders and Guardians of the Galaxy comics anymore?
They will have Guardians.
I don't know. We haven't had Fantastic Four books.
But they don't have movies or TV shows based on them.
They'll have Guardians, and
I mean, he hasn't written Guardians in like a year at this point.
I did not know that. Okay, so
it's been Jerry Dugan.
Defenders. I'm
100% serious.
Defenders, they would not keep if it wasn't for the fact that they just had a major Netflix show.
Well, of course. But you're insane. They're going to keep Defenders.
Right, because of the show. I'm saying
Jessica Jones is probably the only book.
I'm saying
that he's writing
without the Netflix show, Bendis, if he was still at Marvel, would probably keep writing that until his death.
Yeah.
But they had the show, so then whatever. But Jessica Jones, I mean, do you see that continuing? Luke Cage, do you see that continuing? I don't see either of those continuing.
He doesn't write Luke Cage.
Well, Luke Cage wouldn't be so used to having a solo title if it wasn't for Bendis, so there's that.
again, it's a little chicken and egg. I mean, do we have a Defender show?
It is.
Do we have a chicken? Do we have a chicken? Do we have a Defender show? If Bendis didn't use these characters in Jessica Jones, like I feel like we would have them if anyway, whether he was at Marvel last year or not.
Okay,
because the show still would have been made.
Look,
so who takes over?
Ultimately, my point is Bendis likes to shoehorn characters into the Marvel universe. He's not
answering
there anymore.
The question.
I'm getting there. You're interrupting.
Christ.
You're interrupting my pontification. Who is writing them? The answer is Jason Aaron, because that man has no limits.
No, he's off Star Wars.
Yeah, Aaron's not doing a lot right now.
Jason Aaron was doing Star Wars?
Yeah.
Oh, hey, I want to ask a separate question.
What is wrong with you?
Do you think...
Did any of you listen to the Briefly the other week that we recorded?
Why?
Where Bryce was going on for like 8 hours about like Bendis didn't write what were you talking about?
It's because I didn't think that he'd written any big crossovers lately.
Yeah, I was like, he wrote Civil War 2. He's like, no, he didn't. Like, yeah, he did. What do you mean? Yes, he did.
Well, it wasn't so much arguing as disbelief. By the way, that was the only flaw in that entire Briefly. That was a great Briefly.
Anyway, let's move on here. But we got many questions asking roughly the same question: what the hell's going on at Marvel? Now, we Bryce, before you got here, we talked about it at length because there was an article on Bleeding Cool. You can go back and listen to it. And read it. But a few people there was a couple of conversations in my replies here about Alex Alonso and.
Axel?
Huh?
Alex? You said Alex?
Or Axel Alonso? Sorry, is that Alex Alonso?
Yeah. Well,
Axel Alonso?
Yeah, now it's fake news. You're talking about somebody else.
Tom Brevoort and David Gabriel, who we talked about earlier. Yeah, and it's like they're kind of the trio. Like, those three, they're probably done. You know, I mean, Dan Didio had a rough year or two, but these three, I don't know, man. I don't know how the heads of Marvel are keeping these guys around, because clearly it's just not working.
Wait. So, since I wasn't here, and that was an incredibly vague thing to sigh about and say, you mean that just shit is effed up at Marvel, and these three guys are in charge, and so at this point, why? Is that what I'm understanding?
We've been hearing for years now that Marvel's not a great place to work. And not that it's ever been a great place to work, but it's particularly bad recently.
Are you saying this Bendis thing is because Marvel's not a great place to work?
Yes. I mean, part of it, yeah. So the whole I don't want to go over the entire thing we went through before you got here, but one of the things, the Bleeding Cool article said that there's a big fight between Bendis and David Gabriel during the Marvel during the Marvel Creator Summit prior to New York Comic Con last month. Bendis' books aren't selling that much. He's out of contract. He's not getting a raise. They're not. I don't know if they're not giving him work, but he's just not doing, he's just doing the stuff he does.
Huh.
He's been pulled way down as far as what Marvel's, kind of hierarchy, yeah, because they're not involved with Disney anymore. Wow. There was talk that Bendis is pushing for characters like Miles Morales and Riri Williams to have stronger presence at Marvel, and David Gabriel's comment was, again, diversity doesn't sell. We're not going to use these characters, or we're going to limit these characters in some fashion.
Really?
Miles Morales is probably not going to be in a book called Spider-Man anymore, whether they change his name or they just call it Miles Morales Spider-Man. They're going to give Spider-Man back to Peter Parker next year. Like the title, just Spider-Man. Again, this is all rumor. Who knows? Who knows what this is true or not? But... but no, there is a bigger problem at Marvel. Just, I mean this is far from the first time we've heard this.
In like the past year and
everyone.
Like, just lost a ton of people
since Secret Empire. Since Secret Wars. Yeah. They've lost a lot of people. It's been real tough.
They have lost a lot of people.
So yeah. A couple of people said, draw a protective circle around Jason Aaron. And Mark Waid back up the dump truck.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of agree with that. So I didn't read that article. I didn't know about that. I just sort of thought that it was Bendis having told all the stories he's going to tell. And, I mean, you can't argue that his books have just not been selling like they used to. But
the problem is no Marvel book selling what it used to. So
I was going to say, he's not
alone in this.
Yeah, Jason Aaron's doing a great job on was doing a great job on Star Wars and doing a great job on Thor, but his books are not selling what
No,
Right, but in a parallel universe where Bendis hadn't come to Marvel a decade or two ago with these ideas of his, and he came in now and had these ideas, they would sell well.
Maybe. I mean,
It's hard to say based on the current atmosphere. I mean, the likelihood of somebody picking up an Alias book back when Alias launched is much higher than picking up a Alias book if it launched now.
Well, the problem right now, right, because Bendis prior to working at Marvel, he was doing Jinx and Torso when he was doing those crime comics at Image. His trajectory right now is he'd be working in Hollywood and wouldn't work at Marvel or DC.
Well, so, okay. It seemed, okay, so look, I don't know. It seems to me, though, that maybe he gets basically fired from the Marvel Disney movie side of things.
Oh, it wasn't just him, it was everyone, right? I mean,
right. But like, he wanted that to be his trajectory, and he said, "This is not happening for me. Let me find a job that can offer that for me." I already have it on my resume.
So the DC part, right? I don't know if you read the official announcement. Multi-year, multifaceted,
right? Yeah,
meaning his buddy Jeff Johns, they're good friends. Guess who he's going to be working with?
Right.
Bendis is going to be working on the DC movies and TV shows.
He's got super senior comic level cred, and he already has Hollywood on his resume.
Yep.
I don't know why this is actually that shocking of a move, frankly. I mean, it is shocking, but like when you think about it, it makes perfect sense if he's looking for, career stability for himself. If he's not a young man anymore. He's
it's pretty fucking shocking. Like, you just don't, I mean, again,
until you think about it and you realize it makes perfect sense. Yes, it came out of left field. It is absolutely shocking.
Sure.
Except for how it makes perfect sense.
But the thing is
it's just so shocking because so many people, including myself, when you think Marvel writer,
it's Bendis.
You think Bendis because he was the face of Marvel creatively for so long.
I don't
Quesada, Bendis.
I don't disagree, but when he gets fired from the movie stuff at Marvel, where?
Right. Again, our thoughts earlier, and kind of restate this here is that we all thought the trajectory here is boom, corporate. He goes to Disney. He goes to head of Marvel corporate. He works editorial. He works, kind of like Jeff Johns did in Rebirth, kind of overseeing the entire line. He's been fucking sidelined by Marvel, and that's shocking to me. I never would have guessed that.
Is that just because they have all those positions filled by this trio of dudes that I should know their names?
I don't know. I mean, they're EIC and publisher and David Gabriel's VP of sales, I think. So
who's the EIC?
Axel Alonso. I would say Alex Alonso. Axel Alonso.
He is very creative. It's certainly
that guy's creative.
It's certainly a shame.
He was at DC. He was at DC during that's Stephen Wacker. He was the guy that was at that guy's a fucking dickbag. He was great when it's at DC though. No
surprise there.
Yeah, no, he was really good. He was one of the editors on 52, I think, and then he went to Marvel, became a total fucking asshole. It was real weird.
Like everybody that you
Marvel
review.
just does something to people. I don't know. It's so strange. But yeah, Bendis at DC, fucking hell. So I'm curious when these arcs start ending, and they're going to wrap up Jessica Jones. There's no way that book sticks around. But what does he write? I mean, so this is the conversation we're having right when we came in, or right when you came in, Bryce.
Yeah, right when I came in. I like how you said the Gotham PD stuff. Like that does make perfect sense. But it seems like to me a little, don't you want a little more from him? Like that would sort of be like just more of the same, right?
So no,
wouldn't it be cool if he came in with some crazy idea?
What I had said about his characters, and Brock sort of disagreed with me, but he does. I think he does characters better than plots, right? Books like JSA and Legion have so many characters in them.
Yeah.
And just the character interactions, the way they communicate, the way they talk. His big ideas are less good.
They're phenomenal. They're incredible.
His crossovers haven't been great. His endings haven't been great. But the character interactions during all these are. I mean, that's what he's known for. That's his writing style. A book like, again, the Defenders title or Jessica Jones or Ultimate Spider-Man work for his style way better than Civil War II or Avengers or these big event comics, right? So again, JSA and Legion, these are books that are being held back for some reason at DC. Clearly, they're gonna, we're getting them eventually, but they may work under him. He's got a knack for dialogue and There's a lot of characters in those titles. I think he could do an okay job. But no, again, a GCPD, a Batman title. I mean, these are in his wheelhouse. So, but no, sure, throw him on something fucking weird. Give him whatever he wants. Let him run.
Yeah, and I think the reason that might not happen, maybe they put him on GCPD, but I can see him going in and doing some sort of mail-it-in job like GCPD while they groom him for more of the cinematic side of stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I will be the most butthurt if he goes in and kicks ass and makes your terrible extended universe actually good and have more than one good movie. Like, that will be the most heartbreaking to me. Is like, why did they? I'm not even sure about the whole decision to get rid of the whatever that mafia panel was. At
Disney
Marvel.
wants to control their own stuff, right? I mean,
that was
Charlie
part
got the well.
Disney, part Kevin. Like,
right.
That was a well-timed coup.
Yeah, Bendis was not under Kevin Feige. He was under Marvel. There was two heads at that table, and there's only going to be one. So all the guys under what's his face, Ike Perlmutter got kicked out. So
Enter the Coliseum. That's a Hearthstone reference. You're welcome.
Yeah, I got it.
Okay, so
Grand tournament card.
Anyway, that so I would say
news of the decade, comic news of the year, hands down. I said this is one of the biggest news stories of like the last 20 years of comics.
What? Okay, I need this is fucking batshit insane. I need
Disney
a list.
Disney buying Marvel,
Yeah,
clearly the number one.
Yeah,
clearly the number one news story in like sort of my adult comic life.
Yes,
this is on that. This is there. This is with it. This is This is top 2, top 3 news story. This is.
I need a list. I need a list to be able to properly rank this. This is crazy. It is. I'm not even sure it's the top news of the year, but you're saying of the decade. I need a list. I don't remember.
What would be bigger?
I don't remember all of the items.
Is New 52 bigger?
Is New 52 bigger? I mean, possibly yes. Possibly New 52 is bigger.
Maybe.
By the way, possibly Rebirth is also bigger. By the way, possibly Marvel not being as good as it once was, definitely bigger.
That's not a news story. That's just common knowledge.
That's facts. That's facts right there.
Okay, guys. Okay.
No.
Does it count if I set you up and then
it's a huge story. It's fine.
No. I'm not saying it's not huge. I'm just saying like you're putting this up there of the top 20 years.
Well, the thing is,
one of the biggest.
Creative wise, this is a huge deal. I mean, people jump back and forth from Marvel and DC all the time.
Not when you get to Bendis'
rebranding
level.
Of stuff, renumbering.
This is no bigger than Jim Lee signing exclusively with DC.
Oh, Jim Lee selling Wildstorm to DC is absolutely one of those stories.
So what the?
Yeah.
I think that's bigger than this. I mean, Bendis has told his story. It's time for him to move on. He's a great talent. He hasn't done things recently that he once was doing. He told his stories. It's time to move on.
Imagine it's the early 70s and we have Twitter and Jack Kirby leaves Marvel to go to DC. Like that's what we're talking about.
It's apples and oranges. That is a crazy thing to say. I mean, not only
you don't think Bendis is probably the most important creator of Marvel in the last 20 years?
Of the last 20 years, he's probably the most creative, but he's not the most important. Sorry, he is the most important of the last 20 years, but he is not currently the most important.
What have you done for me lately?
Yeah, I mean, fucking, isn't that how life works?
But the thing is I think that shows just reflects on kind of those rumors that were brought up in the Bleeding Cool article, where kind of there's, Bendis has not been happy, which has probably made his work not as good.
Like when Claremont went to DC, no one cared because Claremont was done by that point, long done by that point, and he left. He wasn't there for very long. He didn't do anything. Anyway, I don't know.
How is that not equivalent?
Like I said, nobody cared about him anymore. He was done. Bendis is still a name. Anyway,
Claremont wasn't a name. I'm not actually that familiar with that.
Not like in 97 or whenever he left. Yeah, it was years after he had done anything. I mean, he was just...
Wait, so was that when... Did he come back from DC to do that terrible X-Men run that he did? Or was that when he was still at
Extreme X-Men? He came back. I'm pretty sure he had gone to DC and then came back.
What did he do at DC?
A couple random nothing things and then...
I mean, it seems to me that is just an equivalent like big news thing. If he's going to go to if Claremont goes to DC in the 90s from Marvel after his historic run.
But the thing is
I mean, there's so many parallels there.
The bigger news was from the early 90s when Jim Lee and Valentino and Larsen.
Sure, Formation of Image.
Formation of Image.
That wasn't 20
I mean, that was
over 20 years ago.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Over 20 years ago.
20 years ago.
But if you're looking at the 90s, that was a bigger story than Claremont going from Marvel to DC.
Sure, I don't disagree.
Yeah.
But the thing is that's when, after they left, that's when, Claremont had kind of died out.
So I do agree that overall, I do not get as much enjoyment out of the Bendis books as I used to at Marvel. But that being said, I've stuck with most of his books. Like, I still read the Iron Man books. I still read Defenders and Jessica Jones because I still enjoy them. Maybe not as much as I did before, but they're a hell of a lot better than a lot of the other stuff that I've tried reading from Marvel. So,
which could lead us right into Legacy.
And sort of talking about what we've talked about in Legacy, yes, the X-Men books I've been on board with. I've liked them. But I've also been on board with Defenders and Jessica Jones. And, like, this actually does significantly drop the number of Marvel books that I actively follow unless they get the right creative teams to sort of take over, which that's kind of where I sit assuming Aaron is sticking around, he can definitely pick up some of the slack, but that's a pretty large assumption because his Thor run's sort of feeling like the Brubaker Cap run to me, where I kind of feel it's incredible, but I kind of feel like when he's finally done with that, when he's finally told his story, he's going to want to take a step back to his own work or like, I don't think he's going to be ready to be like, okay, now what's the next Marvel book that I can pick up and do?
Or like Hickman or Remender.
Yeah. That's how that's feeling. That's how it's feeling to me. And because of that, this is a big deal primarily because I don't really feel like there is a good transition out there for who takes over a lot of what Hickman was doing. Because I feel like a lot of the people I would have pointed to have already left.
Yeah.
Like, if Lemire was still actively doing stuff, I would totally be like, okay.
Yeah, they lost Lemire too.
You move Lemire onto some of this stuff because he's got a great track record on the stuff but he left not that long ago. So unless they can woo some of these people back.
I rejected that part. I mean, there is plenty of room for the young aspiring talent to come in and right the ship.
So let me. This is something that a lot of people have brought up, but
stuttering because you're shocked that you're agreeing with me.
Yes, no, I think he just wants to cut you off.
Yeah, I want to cut you off. So this is a question for the table. This has been a comment I've seen a number of times today. Does Bendis represent that old guard?
Yeah.
Is there a chance that his being there has prevented other people from taking over these books, doing more experimental stuff, changing stuff up, being what Marvel was in the early 2000s when they really did a ton of cool experimental stuff and really got to kind of experiment? Does this open up the slot for other creators to come in and take over his the titles he was working on and sort of that status quo that he had set and to really shake things up? So
yeah, I don't.
Do they go and hire a shitload of new kids to work at Marvel, and all of a sudden Marvel's awesome again?
No, I don't necessarily agree with the idea that he was stifling talent by being on so many books. Although
I'm not saying I
possible.
Agree with that. This is just something I've seen a few times.
Yeah, I hear your question. And I can certainly see that point of view. And so, like, if somebody takes the counterpoint, I can't argue too heavily against it because obviously neither me or the person that I'd be arguing with know. But it doesn't seem to me. It seems to me that they've been giving plenty of opportunity to new ideas. Maybe they haven't been like sticking with the new ideas for as long as they could. But there's a lot of new names coming and going. So. Yeah, I don't think that he's been necessarily stifling. I do think that he is the old guard, and I like to think that with him, I don't think this is like how it was planned, but I like the idea of, with him gone, that opens up like 5 ongoing titles for new writers. And so that could be great opportunity for new people to come in and prove themselves.
I think the thing is the difficult part about that is I think what Charlie said is that Jessica Jones has had his voice for so long. So how does somebody come in and take that over? Especially especially somebody new and fresh and has all these ideas. But the other problem is I don't see that nurturing good work environment at Marvel with all of the stuff that's been going on in the past year or so with the exit. We have the exodus of Hickman, then we have the exodus of Remender, we have the exodus of Jeff Lemire, now we have the exodus of, Brian Michael Bendis. It's like there's this huge just outflux of really solid and talent and old guard talent.
Outflux.
Outflux.
There's no, I mean, talent comes and goes, right? I mean, if you have a contract with these guys, it's only for a couple of years at max, right? So people leaving is not the big story. Not finding replacements is the story. Big people leave, but the people they've signed have not been on the caliber of the people that they've lost, and the people that they've signed have not become the caliber of people that they've lost. Yeah. If Ed Bryson was suddenly selling 85,000 units of every book he's writing, that's one thing, or Jerry Dugan. But these guys are just kind of selling 20,000, just selling kind of the same as everything else. Marvel's not had a breakout creator in years.
And the funny thing is they had Tom King.
Yeah, that could have been a big one for
Tom
him.
King, and
we could be looking at We could be looking at a very
what are
different
you
Marvel.
even talking about? Tom King is, by your own description, not a high-selling writer, even though his writing is incredibly good.
He writes Batman. He writes the top-selling...
No. But when he was doing Vision, you were saying that it wasn't selling anything.
He could be on Avengers right now, or Spider-Man, or
don't get
X-Men.
me wrong. I wish that we kept him. I'm very butthurt that whatever. I'm just saying that you...
Sports team.
Yeah, they're the boys that I'm rooting for. That's my home team.
Anyway,
well, that's the thing is you look at Tom King. Did they keep him around? Did they try and keep him there, or was his contract up and he was he was done?
Well, I don't think he ever had an exclusive contract.
He had no contract.
Speculation.
One concern here is what we were talking about that article is they weren't going to give Bendis a raise or I don't know. I don't know if his contract was up, so he's freelance at this point, I guess. It's crazy that they wouldn't. I guess they wouldn't re-up him on a new contract with a raise. But I wonder if Disney or Marvel is just, or I wonder if Disney's just not giving Marvel a lot of money to work with. They just don't have the money to throw around to these creators. Warner Brothers maybe being like, dude, look, we got the cash. Let's just, throw money out there to comic guys because, we're thinking long term. Who knows, right? I mean, we don't know. But he's getting paid. So DC they probably had to put a nice round,
right,
an extra zero on the end of it to get him to jump ship.
Definitely.
So he's getting a good payday for this.
And also, they probably, Disney couldn't afford to match DC's offer because they're busy buying Fox.
I was going to say, yeah, Disney has so many trillions of extra dollars. So the whole Fox thing's old, I guess. Did you read up on this? They had talked, and
I just thought that there was in our Facebook group there was 5 articles that by the time I saw them they were all oh nope, this is over.
Not happening. Yeah, Disney had talked to Fox about buying its entertainment division, and they're like, nah.
Okay,
that's the story.
Wait, do we know who said no?
I mean, I don't know
I think that matters.
I don't know this, but they had talks. Nothing came of it. Okay. There you go. Apple had talks to buy
Tesla.
No, I'm Warner Brothers, wasn't it?
Pixar.
Oh, Pixar. Yeah, back in the day. But I thought Apple had talked about buying someone else kind of recently.
Apple has a lot of billions of dollars in the bank. They could, but this is a different podcast.
Yeah. So these talks happen. It's just, but Disney could have looked at Fox and said, well, the X-Men movies, those can be now ours, and we can, the potential there works.
Yeah.
It's not Fox News, not Fox Sports, but it's basically all their other programming. But, does Disney run the Gotham TV show? That might be a little weird. Yeah.
Awkward.
So it's going to be really weird in about 6 months when I have a DC comic that's by
Lucifer?
Brian Michael Bendis on it. Yeah, or Lucifer, yeah.
Well, that's really what I'm kind of hoping is that I'm hoping Bendis has some smaller character he's always wanted to write, and they just start him there.
They're just going to make him like do a fill-in on like Bombshells or something like that. Like that's just where he's going to start.
Right.
They're going to start him on some nothing title.
Oh, it'll be just like Jeff Johns, where he will do some like one little title, and he'll work on the entertainment side of things.
No, they're going to give him like the biggest. They're going to give him like the biggest book.
They're going to give him. They're going to give him a big book,
Well,
and then they're probably going to give him a pet project.
They're not going to drop him in the middle of a fucking ongoing comic. They're not going to be like, yeah, take over Green Lantern. It's like, no, they're going to give him his own.
That's not even what I'm saying. I'm saying they're going to give him some throwaway title and have him work on the entertainment side of things. He's going to join the movie universe.
I think long term, but he's going to do a big thing. I mean, his first book for DC is going to be something fucking humongous.
Yeah.
He's going to write like a secondary Batman title, or he's going to do like a major event, or he's going to do something huge. Mm-hmm. There's just no way they give him some bullshit comic to work on.
If I'm Brian Michael Bendis, I'm like, okay, where is my career headed? I can fucking keep writing, but my career trajectory...
Now that he's not with Marvel, at least it's going up.
The look on Bryce's face is always amazing.
Jesus Christ. Wow. Yeah.
So when Rebirth launched, they did the whole thing of like everybody met with Johns and that kind of stuff to plot out certain arcs. I would not be surprised if they did something similar.
They co-wrote a book together?
Do some sort of co-writing and then literally kind of transition him into overseeing the creative direction for a little while.
I can see that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
And maybe get him involved in a couple of the DC TV shows.
And again, a few people that left comments said, they didn't like Bendis and they don't want him at DC. "Quote unquote."
Comment by you?
No. I like Bendis. "Quote unquote."
Since when do you like Bendis?
Bendis? I will, once again, for the people in the back, I will reiterate my Bendis story. When he started, I loved him. I one of my favorite creators in the early 2000s.
Yeah.
Loved early Bendis stuff.
Yep.
When he took over Avengers, not really my style. I didn't like him for a while, but I kind of grew to like his new Avengers run. I really didn't like Bendis for a while in like maybe the mid-aughts there for a bit.
Like the entire of the aughts?
No. But what I've said in more recent years...
I've talked to you for a long time. I've never known you to like Bendis.
What I've said in more recent years, and you can go back and listen to any podcast in the last couple
including
years,
episodes you've been on.
Yeah.
Just because Charlie likes
He may not be my favorite writer of all time, but I find him very consistent. I find him... the worst Bendis book is still better than most of the other stuff I'm reading at Marvel. It's for the last decade.
Or DC. Good point.
Yeah, I think the only thing that you've been really disappointed with Bendis in the past 17 years is Brilliant.
I didn't even read that. I mean,
you didn't even read it, but like the last issue came out. How many?
How many
years?
I don't even know. There's There's been Bendis stuff I haven't liked. Civil War 2 was a train wreck. But there's been really good, and now I just find him just very solid superhero stuff. Just not offensive. And again, when we talk Defenders, I don't know if you're listening to the episode. I know the audio is a little rough, Bryce, but Defenders is by far my favorite Marvel comic right now.
Yeah,
I love Defenders.
Did we talk about that on the briefly?
Yeah, we did. Yeah,
I like Defenders.
Yeah. So, speaking of Defenders, which is a Marvel Legacy title, let's move on. This whole episode was supposed to be Marvel Legacy stuff, and
Thor.
Then I was like, oh shit, that's the Tuesday after Thor. We got to talk about Thor.
If it was a DC movie, we'd spend the whole episode talking about it.
Too. So I kind of pulled a bit of an audible, and I'm getting ready for my Justice League multi-podcast review. We're gonna have a whole episode just talking about the floor not being sticky and my comfortable seat and everything.
The air conditioning's gonna be just right.
Yeah.
I've been saving up PTO days so that I could be on every episode. Take days off just in case you try to pull another audible and record when I'm unavailable.
So I wanted to pull an audible here because we were talking about Thor as well this episode, so I was like, well, let's kind of cut back our Legacy talk a bit. And then this fucking Bendis thing. So look, Marvel Legacy, we've done these things a number of times in the podcast before with Rebirth and New 52 and Marvel Now. And, we'll go through and review and give our thoughts on all the issue number ones. The Legacy stuff fucking broke me. I don't even want to talk about it because there's nothing to talk about. We've spent 3.5, nearly 4 hours talking about the first 2 weeks of Marvel Legacy between our episode and then Bryce's briefly.
And
I don't want to sit around. Look, I don't want to sit around for like 5 or 6 more episodes saying how these books are all just very mediocre and how a lot of them suck and how a couple of them are good. But nothing's different, nothing's changed. I don't want to do that. So what we're going to do for a few minutes here, we've each picked a couple books that we liked from weeks 3 and 4 of Legacy, and a couple books that we feel missed the mark. I kind of get the feeling some of the books we liked are going to be the same titles, but that said, we're just going to have a few minutes talking about these books. Once or twice more in the future, we'll do that again for month 3 and 4 of Legacy. I guess weeks 1 and 2 is month 1. So month 2 and 3 of Legacy, because there's a lot fewer titles now. We'll cover a few of these books for the remainder of this month. For the remainder of this year. But yeah, I don't want to sit here and just be like, look, this sucks. Because what are you going to do? I'm not going to read a Monsters Unleashed comic. I'm not going to say good things about a Monsters Unleashed comic. It's just not going to happen.
Monsters Unleashed was good.
It was the top 87th book by Marvel that Bryce read this month. I'm just not going to.
If that high.
Yeah, I don't want to do this. So we're going to talk about a few things. And then, we're just going to record it through our podcast because we're going to talk about Thor. We have to talk about Thor. So,
oh, my God. So good. Keep going.
I have a couple here. I don't know if you guys have yours, if you know what you guys wanted to talk about here.
Even though I hate your lists, but because I didn't bring my my back pile, can you list off the 3 and 4 Marvel books?
I don't have them in front of me. Charlie, do you want to look for a list of weeks 3 and 4?
Can you just fucking Google it while we're recording, while Charlie talks about his 3?
Sure, Charlie. Do you have a couple you want to talk about?
No. I go before Charlie. I want to go before Charlie.
Well, let me talk about Cable.
Well, I know my first. Oh, you bastard! Oh, what have I done? I dug my own grave. Oh, my favorite book was
never
Cable.
stop.
But,
of course it was.
Damn it.
Because it was so good.
It was so good.
Yes.
See, my God.
We should just double team this one.
No. I intentionally
in
did
the
not
middle
have
of
that
this?
in my top 3 because I knew that you would have it in your top 3, and I want my top 3.
Okay, wait. I do have some lists here. I actually did some lists. So,
oh, wow. That took about 12 seconds.
Yeah. Week 3. Champions, Cable, Incredible Hulk, Invincible Iron Man, Luke Cage, Mighty Thor, Monsters Unleashed, Spider-Gwen, well, X-Men Gold, but that's the second issue of that. So those are the week 3 titles. Week 4.
Okay, top 3 already there. I'm already at top 3.
Week 4 is Amazing Spider-Man. Oh no, Amazing Spider-Man was already on there. America, Black Panther, Captain Marvel, no Deadpool because that was already part of the other one. Jean Grey, and All New Wolverine.
Oh, nope. All New Wolverine was week 2.
Oh, that's right. The double ship with All New Wolverine. Correct. So, yep. So just
I'm sorry. Who was right?
Bryce was right. Happens occasionally.
Now I remember why all my 3 top 3 were in week 3 was because there were no top 3 in week 4.
It doesn't have to be top 3. Why don't you give me 1 or 2 you liked and 1 or 2 you thought didn't perform as much as you would have hoped?
Okay, so I want to first talk about America. I was so angry in the opening pages of America because I was like, I don't fucking speak Spanish. What on earth would I be doing reading this book? There is so much Latin slang in the America book.
Look,
that I was like,
I am. Actually, let's just kind of roundtable this. I am as social justice warrior as you're going to get for a straight white man. But holy fuck, America! I just can't.
That's what Colin Kaepernick thinks.
Just can't do it. Just can't do it.
So I had to put it down and I had to pick it back up later because there's so much Latin slang and I'm like, I literally don't even know what you're saying.
Don't even care about that. It's just.
No, it's also I
think her college broke me. I think her Sotomayor. What's it?
Sotomayor University.
Yeah, I was just like, when they dropped Neil deGrasse Tyson, I was like, no, fuck yourself. Just
she's in the Neil deGrasse Tyson dorms. It's like
get this book. I mean,
can't deal with this. Social justice warrior. Like that book is just oozing it from every pore, and it's just like crazy. So I do want to say that if you are a
sure, that's another one of my but that's bad and expected bad. Like
no. If you are a Latin speaking gentleman or lady, then I highly recommend the America book to you because there's a lot of themes of loyalty and family and love that. I'm just
gonna stop this before it goes bad places. I'm gonna talk about 2 books real quick.
Oh, it goes bad places. I was talking about loyalty and love.
I kind of had some hopes for. And were terrible, and then I'll talk about a book that I enjoyed. First one is Incredible Hulk. This is the arc Return to Planet Hulk by Greg Pak. And I love what's his name? The artist on this I was not familiar with prior, but I really
Amadeus
like
Cho?
this
The artist.
artist.
Yeah, he's the artist.
Greg Land.
Oh no.
Yeah.
No, it's not Land, is it?
It is. It is Greg Land. You said you love Greg Land. It's on record. It'll never be deleted unless you edit it, and you never edit podcasts.
I like Greg Land.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I've always
thought
liked
you
Greg
said
Land.
trash
I don't
Greg
think
Land.
he did the art on this, did he?
Oh, man, I love Greg Land.
Well, this is killing me because I can't find the friggin'...
Pretty sure it's Greg Land, bro. What are you thumbing through it? If it's not in the first couple pages, it's in the last couple pages.
It is Greg Land. What the hell? No, I pulled up this back thing.
Bryce knows more about comics than
yeah,
Ryan
I like
Higgins.
Greg Land. For some reason, I think this was Greg Land. Maybe because I can't see the changing on the cover there. Anyway. This is... Incredible Hulk was fucking unreadable.
What?
I read...
Oh my god, it was so good!
I read Planet Hulk.
Wait, seriously?
Oh my god, it was great.
What's wrong with you?
I can't tell you heads or tails. I have no idea what the hell was going on in this book.
Oh, it's not as good as Planet Hulk, but it's great. It's fantastic.
No, it's really bad.
Oh, it's fantastic.
You're not given even a second to understand what's happening in this book. Nothing is introduced.
What is wrong with being thrown into like a new situation and just rolling with it?
But it's not a new situation.
They're
This
trying
is a situation established from Planet Hulk, from Scar.
They're
from, like,
trying
all this
You just
stuff.
named two things that are the same thing. And by the way, like if you hadn't read those,
Scar?
you're Planet Hulk and Scar.
Yeah, Scar came out of Planet Hulk as the son of Hulk,
They're trying
and a
to
whole bunch of stuff happened with him leading up to this.
they-
Oh, I thought you were
So-
talking about
Sakaar.
Wait. Oh, is the planet's not Scar?
No.
His son is
No,
Scar.
his son is Scar.
And the planet is Sakaar.
Sakaar, yes.
They
That's not
try to
confusing.
emulate the original Planet Hulk, but like you're just like what? Like why? What is happening in this book?
No, it's
Now-
great.
No, they just took the setting and
Yeah.
fucked it up.
Well, they threw a gladiator arena in there.
Now my second
Well, I haven't seen that somewhere.
book that I had maybe a little hope for and thought it was easily one of the worst books was Black Panther 166.
So I disagree. I actually enjoyed the issue, but it is completely fails the legacy test.
Yes, exactly. I
Panther
totally agree with Charlie.
It's on one panel.
Why are you going to put this? I started reading it and I was like, is this going to be one of those things where like there's some twist and it's actually him doing all the narration for the whole book and then he keeps on going about sound and I'm like, there's just no way.
No.
It's definitely Claw.
The entire
And then-
book, like this isn't Claw Legacy. This
Yeah, I
is
know.
Black Panther. Like
No, it was a bad choice for
God.
that one to be the legacy title. And by the way, the lenticular cover choice is just,
offensive.
worthy of war crimes. Like that is just a terrible choice for the for the cover, for the lenticular cover.
I enjoyed reading the issue, though.
Yeah, me too.
But it was,
Nothing to do with it.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I won't.
Shockingly misdirection.
I won't talk about Bryce. Take a step back. Take it back away from the mic.
Okay.
I won't talk about how Cable 150 is actually the worst book from the weeks 3 and 4 of Legacy, especially that artist. Oh my god!
There's
It's
no
like the-
yelling from me. There's just disappointment
It's just
and
the worst
lack
Rob
of
Liefeld
surprise.
clone. The worst.
the lack of. That's a great call. He is a Liefeld
I
clone.
liked the Cable book up until this issue. That issue was fucking terrible.
What exactly was bad about it? You are the
It was
fucking most
real
garbage
bad.
champion of Milkman characters
Oh,
and Dupe.
dude.
And this had Dupe in it, and you are the
did have-
biggest.
oh, no,
you're
Dupe
the
was in.
biggest like fucking
What was
fake.
Dupe in?
In Cable.
Oh yeah, Dupe was in Cable. Yeah, Dupe's it's the best part.
You are the
Yeah.
fakest like reviewer of anything in the world.
It was
Like
bad.
you love Dupe
No, it
in
was
anything.
great.
No,
It was
okay, so
bad.
If
For-
this was an
Dude,
equivalent,
Milkman! Oh man,
So
Milkman Man! I'm so excited for Milkman.
So
You
for
are
the bad
just-
stuff, I
you're
didn't
such
actually,
a hypocrite, dude. It's crazy.
A lot of the titles that came out in these 2 weeks, I didn't even care to pick up.
Wow.
Shock.
That's fascinating. But nobody's surprised. So anyway, Dupe was crazy good, and he was in Cable, and yes, Liefeld clone confirmed. That was
Yeah.
incredible.
Now
And
look,
it completely passes the legacy test,
Oh,
calling back to
Oh
the
my god!
externals.
Yeah, having the externals in there,
Yeah.
having
Real bad
Shatterstar with
Yeah,
the
I know. That was
shoulder
actually
pads.
one of the ones I read, and I thought it was worse than the Cable books I read prior.
I like the Cable run prior. The like okay, but again, I didn't want to talk about bad books. I want to talk about good books. Unfortunately, there was at
What
least
are you
one.
talking about?
There was at
Cable
least
was one of the best books of this entire legacy
You could talk
series.
about that in a minute. At least I could talk about a good book.
I think
and
we were
that is-
roundtabling it.
And that, well,
we're only roundtabling when you want to. Okay,
yes,
sorry.
Sure.
Sorry, got it.
No, we're roundtabling the title. Cable was not meant to be the book I was actually going to talk about. But I had to talk about it.
Serenity now.
Mighty Thor 700.
Yeah.
No surprise. Obviously, no surprise. Book of the Legacy. But yeah, I mean, the Defender book failed the Legacy test. But this is just this will just go down as one of the best single issue Thor comics I've read in quite a while. I love all the different various art styles. It goes. You have so many takes on Thor in this title. I like the actual like in continuity Thor frog little scenes that play through it.
Well, there's only 2, but yeah.
Well, no, I mean that they're actually because this character has popped up, like in a handful of comics throughout the years. Not the original like Thor frog stuff. Like this Thor frog thing is like separate from that. Probably the only part that I didn't really care for was the actual Mighty Thor She-Hulk bit. It just sort of, I don't know, it just sort of was there, and I feel like, you know, I don't want them to necessarily get rid of every new character they've introduced, but they sure didn't try too hard with that part of the plot. It just sort of was like, well, we're going to show you the real Thor character and how much you miss him, and we're not going to, you know, do anything with
and how it's called the death of Thor.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, except for it's not at all.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Oh, important Tooth Gnasher.
Of...
Important Tooth Gnasher.
No. So if you're familiar with Norse mythology from reading I was going to say Neil deGrasse Tyson, Neil Gaiman, Norse mythology book, his goats are immortal, and they recombobulate every evening. That's right. That's exactly what Neil Gaiman uses as verbiage in his book. They come back to life after they die every time. So the idea in the Norse mythology is that his 2 goats, Tooth Gnasher and whatever the fucker, actually are eaten over and over to allow Thor to survive.
Okay.
And they come back to life every morning so they can be eaten again. It's relatively gruesome.
Yeah, I mean, I liked...
so I don't think that he's gone.
I like Jean Grey, but I don't have much to say about it. It's just more of what was there.
I did not like Jean Grey. Oh, woof.
Brock, I know you didn't read much. Is there one or two you liked, one or two you thought really missed the mark?
I mean, I enjoyed the Thor book. None of them were like new or invigorating. Most of them were just carrying on a story that was told prior.
Yeah.
Well, actually, most of them started new story arcs. So, like, if mean that most of them carried on the story...
No, the Thor book is basically summing up every single thing Aaron has touched on Thor throughout his run. Building it up
so if you mean that,
going.
like, they're all comic books and they build on, like, what happened in the past.
No, the Thor book was... Last time we had a milestone issue for Thor, we got the same kind of thing with the view of the future Thor, the current Thor, the past... Like, and they're amazingly great books, especially as sort of just... one shot, pick it up, see what's going on, and see if you want to... Like, this actually passes the legacy test in terms of a good jumping on point for new readers that talks about sort of the history of the character and acknowledges the good with the bad, and, well, I guess there really isn't much bad in there to acknowledge, but just it acknowledges sort of the complexity that character comes with. And, yeah, it is kind of one of those things where I kind of feel like it happened to be legacy, even though this is what 700 would have been all along.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's, for me, what's kind of... legacy is just the gimmick, so I just view it as...
Well, issue 700 would also be the gimmick. It's just a double gimmick.
Yeah, but it's doubling up on the gimmickiness.
Two gimmicks for the price of one.
Yeah, more like the price of... Oh, God. Overall, I didn't really pick up much because I don't read America, so I have no interest in it. I never read I tried Black Panther, no interest in it. So, and from the previous weeks, there was really no incentive for me to check out these books. Mm-hmm. So, I think I read the Invincible Iron Man one, and I completely had forgotten what happened in the issue until I flipped through it, and I was like, oh, okay, it was Bendis, it was Iron Man, it was okay.
Invincible Iron Man has been great. I'm excited for what they do with that story going forward.
You mean Bendis' final story?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So I think that everything that they've been doing with Iron Man has been exciting, and Riri, I wouldn't say has grown on me, but I've grown more accustomed to her. I've been willing to.
I actually put Invincible Iron Man on my thumbs down list. That issue did not. I don't care about any of these characters.
Wait, how many Iron Mans are currently going on? Is it 1 or 2?
There's just one now.
And that's the Doctor Doom one?
No.
Infamous
just ended.
Yeah. I like the Doom bit of it, but I could care less about the rest of that book.
So I tried. The one that I like is the Doctor Doom one. I have not been getting the Riri stuff. The Riri Rebirth one was one where she faces off against Doctor Doom, right? Whatever. Point being, if Doctor Doom is in the book, it's a great book. If it's just Riri, no thank you. I mean, I'm not saying it's not a good book. I'm just saying that it's not. I'm not picking it up or enjoying it.
Yeah, I'm still reading all the Riri stuff. I like it. I like the fact that she invaded Latveria and proclaimed herself as ruler just to change things up, and then.
Do you like that?
Yeah.
Even though she's like actually 13 years old or something like that.
That's part of the reason why I liked it, because she went in there and kind of did not play the politics of the situation.
I hate a world where I'm the grumpy old man, but like when Damian Wayne is 12 years old and he's like kicking ass, it's like, have you met a 12-year-old? They are like tiny little stick bone people. Like, how is he fighting anybody? Same with Riri. Like, oh, of course, new superhero. She's
Come on, we live in a world with Stranger Things and everything else.
No
Kids
spoilers
are cool
for that.
again.
I'm only halfway through the series. Or season 2, I should say.
It's really good.
But yeah, so Rebirth has been
great.
Largely better than Legacy in terms of restarting everything. Legacy has been largely, putting the word legacy somewhere in the title and then not really doing anything much beyond that. I've said on the Bryce briefly, I think that there's a lot of elements that they are pointing towards acknowledging that things are going to change, but not a lot has changed. And so while we are still waiting for the ship to be righted, we are hoping that it continues to be on a better trajectory, although it's not currently. But that said, you guys talked for about 5 seconds on the last episode about Venomverse. Venomverse was so much fun, dude. Venomverse, I read the whole thing. If you haven't read Venomverse and you're looking for a fun... When Higgins had his interview with Scott Snyder, I must have misheard, because I thought that the whole idea of Metal was that it was going to be like a fun summer story. I didn't know it was going to be like a year-long event. Venomverse, if you want... because it's ended. It took place during the summer. If you want a fun summer read that's just about action and superheroes of different dimensions beating each other up in cool costumes and a cool idea. It's brainless. It's like the Operation Galactic Storm of this past summer. Go get Venomverse, because it's light, it's short, and it's fun. Yeah. And, you don't need to invest a whole lot of money or time into it. It's a good story, and it sort of leaves it at that. And there's little hints to that whole extra universe in Monsters Unleashed, which Higgins probably says that he read and probably didn't read. But that's the only
Monsters Unleashed? I read it.
That was the only one that sort of acknowledged the whole Venomverse
kind of
thing
Voltron
even happened with the poisons. But anyway, stuff like that. That is a perfect summer throwaway, good, fun action story that you don't need to think about after summer. But man, fucking Thor was incredible. Well, it was really good. I wouldn't say... no, I would say it's incredible. In fact, I think I'm on record saying it's incredible. Confirmed. It's incredible.
So anything else?
For Legacy?
Yeah, the week 3 and 4. Charlie?
No, week 4. Oh,
Cable?
Sorry. My name's not...
Well, I already told you I loved Cable. That's not a surprise to anybody.
Nothing else you need to say?
Shatterstar and Dupe and Cable and Externals in one book? Are you crazy? How you didn't like this book just shows that you have just no taste.
Poor. It was just poorly done.
Which part was poorly done? The incredible writing
art and
or
the writing?
Liefeld art, which is incredible? Or the fact that... By the way, in terms of passing the legacy test, holy fuck yeah, man. Externals? When's the last time you heard about Externals? Yeah. That is a 2 thumbs up on the legacy test.
I guess it passes the legacy test. It just wasn't a good comic.
Well, if your whole fucking rant about Marvel is that they're not passing this crazy legacy test that you've created, I mean, that does pass the legacy test. So, like,
but it has to be good too.
It was.
but like,
I disagree.
I would say that Brock's opinion is always going to be negative. So between the three of us that actually might vote positively, two of the three of us liked it.
Of course, you two are gonna say you like it.
Well, you're outvoted. Confirmed it's good.
My favorite
Cy
tweet.
Superior could write it, and you'd say it was good.
It's superior, not superior. He's definitely not superior.
My favorite tweet that I've received in many years, was a tweet today saying, "Could we please have Bryce back on the podcast so it's less biased?" Oh God,
Dude,
that makes me laugh so hard. That made me laugh.
How does that make you laugh? Ladies and gentlemen, I texted Higgins last night, and I said, Higgins, I just had to turn off and delete mid-podcast the Legacy podcast with him and Jim and Brock, because Higgins would say some trolly thing about Marvel and Jim and Brock would go and it was just so difficult to listen to, and everything that wasn't even about Marvel, Jim or Brock would bring up, like, oh yeah, but DC did it so much better if it was about Marvel, and if it was about DC, then oh my, how good is that? It's so good. Or if it was about Marvel, oh man, DC is just incredible. And I texted him and said I had to delete the podcast. It is hard listening to that. So yeah, I'm not surprised that people are like, yeah, I need some other, like, somebody that doesn't think that Marvel sucks on this podcast. I'm not surprised.
I'm hilarious if someone says you're not biased. That makes me laugh.
No, if they're saying that the podcast in general by itself needs to be less biased, then they're absolutely right. This podcast is crazy decent. Dude, I guarantee you've not gone back and listened to any of these podcasts where me and Charlie are not on it. I guarantee you would just facepalm. Actually, you wouldn't, because you are the DC lover. But
I agree with what I say. I probably still agree with most of what I said. All right, we're going to move on to Thor. And again, we'll touch on Legacy once or twice going forward again. But I mean, unless we have something,
we're going to get to Thor at 8:45.
Yeah, unless we have something to say. Thor's not going to take too long. Don't worry. It's just a Marvel movie. It doesn't matter.
You poked the bear, right?
Don't look up Bryce's face.
You poked him, so he's going to take every little shot he can.
Well,
now.
next week is our next week is our pre-Justice League podcast, followed by the live in-line podcast the Thursday after.
Part 1,
yeah. Followed by the immediate video series as we're exiting the theater.
The video series.
The live tweets, the live video we're going to shoot on the way out. And then we do our entire weekend
we're going to Periscope it.
Yeah, and then on the entire weekend we're going to, go over each minute.
Where is Toby?
Who fucking cares? I have no idea. Toby's vanished off the face of the earth. I haven't seen the dude in I saw him once in the last month. Okay, we're talking about Thor. Full spoilers for Thor. It was okay. That's not the opinion I thought I was going to have when I walked into that theater. Because as you know, Bryce, I was concerned. Yeah. I was a little worried.
Everybody on fucking your radar.
I don't know. I had some doubts.
You on their radar knew.
I had some doubts.
That it'd be just another chink in the armor?
I thought it was just going to be more Marvel garbage. So here's the thing.
Oh dear.
Do you guys agree? No. Do you guys agree with the reviews? Do you agree that this is the funniest Marvel movie? That it's a joke delivery system? Do you agree with this?
Dude, that is the biggest troll Fox Newsy way to phrase a question, to start your review by planting a review opinion as if that's the de facto that we have to go against.
This is all the reviews before. No, I'm just wondering. I'm wondering because
by starting it like that, we all have to.
All the reviews before the movie came out, all the reviews that we had going in was that this is the funniest Marvel movie to date. That it was a nonstop laugh riot, that it was not a superhero adventure movie, that it was a comedy that just happened to have superheroes in it. But that one review that said it was a joke delivery system was amazing. Do you agree with those reviews? Do you think it was a comedy and not a superhero movie?
What I am saying...
This is for everyone.
What I'm saying is that it is disingenuous for you to begin the discussion by phrasing your review of the movie by selecting certain elements of all the reviews and saying that those were the quote-unquote reviews.
Those were the reviews. almost
Yeah, you
every
just took like sound bites from a bunch of different reviews and said that like that's the extent of the reviews.
Charlie's done.
No, I'm just having the fun going. We could just answer the question.
Answer the question.
You
Charlie
could have said, "What did you think of the movie?"
No, because that's not what I want to know yet. I want to know: do you agree with the overall statement of reviewers prior to the movie's release? Because this is what had me so worried about the movie. I didn't want a movie that was jokes nonstop. I didn't want a joke delivery system. I didn't want the funniest Marvel movie to date. Not for Thor. So do you agree with that? Because I'll tell you what I think. But I want to know, do you guys agree that this is the funniest Marvel movie to date?
No.
Do you think there was more jokes in this than any other Marvel movie?
Yes.
Brock thinks yes. Charlie.
I think there were more jokes that worked in this movie than any other Marvel movie.
I think that there are more jokes that worked in this movie than any movie except for Guardians 1.
Okay.
I thought there was a lot of shitty jokes, and they were all shitty, and I didn't laugh once at this movie.
Okay, I think you're all insane. Yes, there was a lot. There was jokes in this movie. There was more jokes than I would have liked. Again, maybe just because of expectations. This was in no way, shape, or form a comedy the way they tried to pull off Guardians 2. This is way more in line with Guardians 1, which is not a comedy.
How am I insane? You said we're all insane.
Guardians 1 is not a comedy.
But the thing is the characters in Guardians fit more for a comedy movie than Thor.
Maybe, but they didn't fucking pull it off. They tried with Guardians 2 and it sucked.
No, Guardians 2 sucked because they were trying to
make a comedy.
Make a comedy.
Yeah.
And they should have just done a movie and had comedic elements come from the characters like they did before.
Had people said it's a pretty dark, serious movie at points with some funny elements added in, I would have been like, oh, okay, yeah, I could see that. Because when you think Thor Ragnarok, right, I was expecting a real dark movie before it came out, all right? And then when you see the reviews, I was like, oh my God, this is fucking not what I wanted. Now, the first 10 minutes of the movie, I almost walked out. There's the scene where he's tied up a Surtur, and he's rotating around in the chain, and that was like the worst Seth MacFarlane Family Guy, like just absolutely horrible joke. And again, we were all at the same show. The audience was not a hooting and a hollering every 30 seconds during this movie. It got laughs, but it wasn't like this was the funniest movie we've ever seen in the theater with people.
Is that your barometer for what's actually funny, is if they're hooting and hollering?
Sure, yeah, because when we saw Guardians 2, people were fucking laughing their asses off, and I was rolling my eyes every scene. This movie, yes, it got laughs, don't get me wrong.
So whether they're hooting and hollering or not laughing, if you don't like it, that's sort of...
If the entire audience is laughing hysterically from start to stop, then it's a successful comedy. And they did with Guardians 2. I mean, I disagree, right? But in this, there's long stuff with nothing, with very serious. Guardians 2, okay, because there's full spoilers here, right? When Odin dies, Guardians 2 would have dropped the joke. This actually lets that scene play out and stay completely serious and never deviate from that. But this worried me because in the first 10 minutes, right, you get that joke. The shake weight joke, Leanne turns to me and she's like, are we done? And I'm like, I can't. I'm out. I can't deal with this. If this is the entire movie, I'm out. Fortunately, I think they put the worst two jokes in the very front of this movie. So if you hate the fucking first 10 minutes like I did, just keep watching because I feel the rest of the movie's decent to good. It's way more Planet Hulk. It's 80% Planet Hulk. Charlie's... I mean, it's not Planet Hulk.
No fucking way this is Planet Hulk.
It's not...
Except for the outfit he wears.
It's not Planet Hulk, but it's not Ragnarok. Ragnarok's the opening 5 minutes.
This movie is not anything except them trying to cram like 3 or 4 different stories together.
Sure.
On their own would be exceptionally really well done movies.
Right.
It's them trying to shove everything together to be like, ooh, what humble pie can we make that everyone's going to eat and suck it down and love this movie? I don't know. I went with humble pie.
I don't think that's the right expression
Whatever.
you're looking for. It definitely is 2 stories thrown into one.
Like 4.
Or 2. It's Ragnarok and Planet Hulk, but way more of this movie is the Planet Hulk stuff. Again, it's not Planet Hulk in any way, shape, or form, but it's way more the Hulk story The Ragnarok stuff's only the beginning and the end. The whole middle is all Hulk. It is the Ragnarok stuff. But Hela is awesome. I think she's one of the best villains in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. She looks great.
Smoking?
She was dark as hell. I love her powers. I love the look. She was, again, mostly serious. I love that they have Surtur in this, and I love that he doesn't fucking phase when Hulk. I'm going to edit those scenes out in my version that I'm gonna keep. I'm gonna edit out him turning around on the thing and making those dumb jokes, because that scene with Surtur outside of Thor's stupid ass comments at the beginning was awesome. And his whole fight scene with Surtur and all those villains and Led Zeppelin's playing the Immigrant Song, I love that stuff. The outside the first 10 minutes. The worst part of the movie by far was the apartment scene with the Hulk. That was horribly unfunny, awful. Hulk looked terrible. I hated the way they portrayed the Hulk during that
first apartment
scene.
scene or the second? There was two.
When Hulk is not fighting
Thor.
No, when he's not in the Gladiator arena fighting Thor, and when he's not fighting Hela, the scenes there where he's in, and when he's not Banner, the scene Hulk where he's in the apartments, all those scenes were awful. Like, he looked terrible. The CG was terrible. Hulk was terrible during that. That's not Hulk. They've never played him like that in the comics. They've never played him like that in the movies. Like, I don't know why they made him like an idiot baby. Like, it was bad, but. I really enjoyed the rest of the movie. There was a lot I liked in this movie. It's just the bad was real bad. So I have a hard time judging this fairly positive. I give it like a B. It could have been a lot worse. It's my least favorite of the 3 Thor movies, but it's not by far. They're all right kind of in that middle of the pack for the Marvel stuff for me. It could have been a lot worse. And I'm happy it wasn't. Charlie and Bryce seem to disagree.
So, for me, in a nutshell, it comes down to this. This movie broke me a little bit. Because it was a good movie. I enjoy watching this movie. I watched it twice. There's nothing about it that makes me go, this is a bad movie. But I will also be the first one to admit that when I started thinking about what we got, joy and laughter isn't what kind of comes to mind. I tend to get upset over the fact that they called the planet Sakaar even though it had nothing at all to do with the planet Sakaar.
Right. When I said this is Planet Hulk, I don't mean it's anything like Planet Hulk, but the Planet Hulk elements of this movie.
I did not like the way they used Korg. I did not like the way they used Meeks. They literally just threw certain things together, and I don't necessarily feel that makes a good Thor Ragnarok movie, even though this was a good movie.
It's a terrible Thor movie, but it was an okay movie.
And
I mean, this isn't
that's
Thor.
where it breaks me, because I like this movie, and if this movie was kind of used more as sort of like a parody that happened to have Chris Hemsworth and stuff playing Thor, I'm kind of on board. Just like there was a really, really, really horrible thing that one of the late night shows did where they decided to show Thor Ragnarok in 4D, where they had a bunch of the actors come to an actual movie theater and act out scenes of the movie. And that was sort of humorous, but it's one of those things where it breaks me, because I can honestly tell somebody who asked me, was it good? That yes, it was good. Yes, it's much closer to Guardians than the previous Thor movies. And from that fact, people who didn't like the previous Thor movies, because there's actually a lot of people who weren't big fans of the previous Thor movies, should absolutely go see this movie. They will probably love this movie, especially if they love Guardians. And do I think this movie will appeal to a wider audience and all that? Yes. Do I think they made something that feels very different from the other Marvel movies? Yes. But I have to have that disconnect. I have to have that thing where I can kind of just shut off and say, this isn't Planet Hulk. This isn't Thor Ragnarok. This isn't even like a Thor movie to me. This is just an enjoyable movie.
Well, Sif and I'm sure Sif. Jeez, where the hell was Sif in this movie?
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I don't actually know,
Yeah.
but Agents of
She
S.H.I.E.L.D.
was filming Blind Spot at the time, so she wasn't in this.
Surtur and Hela. I mean, I thought they played them fairly straight. I as far as if you're going to take elements of Ragnarok and use
there
them,
were no gags with other than the chain scene. There was no gags with Surtur, and there were certainly none with Hela.
But my issue with Hela kind of has to do again with they call her the goddess of death and such, and I get that. But they didn't actually use sort of the character and the way they use her in the comic books in this. She's not...
Oh, she's totally different from the comics.
Yeah, she's
not Thor's sister in the comics.
Well, no. But even beyond that, the whole idea of the goddess of death, they basically just had her be very, very good at killing people and be imprisoned in some sort of weird stasis for presumably thousands or millions of years or whatever.
Her motivation in this movie, again, better than most of the Marvel villains. I mean, in the cinematic universe, I can at least appreciate the fact that, okay, she was, she used to be with Odin, and he turned on his own daughter and changed us. I mean, again, it's nothing like the comics, but I don't mind this interpretation of it. Not the best, but I feel she fit the story pretty well, and I like the way they used her in this. So,
mythologically speaking, isn't she the daughter of Odin, though?
I don't know.
I think that she is.
Yeah, she's not in the comics. I don't know in real fake world, but
in real fake world,
real mythological world. Brock, I mean, I know you hated it.
Garbage.
I mean,
I would go into saying something, but I get interrupted at some point because people are like, "Oh no, you're completely wrong," and try and say something. It was bad. It was a bunch of movies trying to be shoved together. Thor Ragnarok, Contest of Champions, Planet Hulk, whatever else Guardians influence you wanted to do. It looked good. Like, the movie looked fantastic. It was amazing, but it was just a hodgepodge of very little story. Thor's character wasn't anything like his character was in the first two movies.
I agree.
It more represented him in the roommate shorts than it did in anything else. Banner's character is the Hulk character is basically kind of like you said, a small baby toddler.
Yeah, Hulk was terrible.
And
during those scenes,
it was horrible. It was great to see him lash out and battle Thor, but again, the joke. It was in the theater. We saw it in the trailer. Like, Loki's uncomfortable now that Hulk's in here, and I work with him. Okay, like, you gave away these jokes. The movie starts out with two of the most horrible jokes known to man.
Can we talk about the joke that I thought did work? I mean, again, I laughed once, and I laughed pretty hard once.
Wait, Higgins?
Yep.
I'm wondering if it's the same thing that made me laugh pretty hard.
Brock actually didn't want anybody interrupting him. Could you let him finish?
Well, he's talking about the jokes, but didn't work.
Talking about the jokes.
I do want to pause and say, because I think there was one that worked. The joke that got me, and I was like, yep, that works. That's really funny. It was the only time I laughed during the movie. Again, I'm not saying I didn't like it. I didn't. The comedy didn't do anything for me in this. Was when Banner jumps out of the helicarrier, or was the Quinjet, right? And he's gonna Hulk out and attack Fenris. And he doesn't. Banner just hits the ground, and breaks all his bones.
So the thing is like...
I legitimately laughed during that.
There was two falls in that movie. And it was the first one we were introduced to Valkyrie, and she's drunk, and she falls off the thing, and then she gets up and she shoots all the guys, and you're like...
That doesn't bother me.
Okay.
I mean, again, not like, Valkyrie,
but... The thing with Banner was, all right, I guess... I didn't laugh.
Yeah, I did.
To me, it wasn't funny, and I think that's because they did the falling down joke earlier in the film with the Valkyrie.
I mean, it's not the same joke. But Charlie, what made you laugh?
So it was not actually a joke, but it was the scene where he was in the chair and it starts playing the golden ticket music from Charlie and the Chocolate
that was
Factory.
weird. Yeah, I didn't.
That made me laugh.
Did it?
That made me laugh quite a bit.
Okay, yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Yeah. I want to Julian. Sorry. Continue, because our friend Julian Titus sent us his little mini review that I want to read here.
I mean, the thing is overall, I think most people are going to enjoy this film because it's aimed, like Charlie said, people who didn't necessarily like the Thor movies to begin with. The first two are probably going to love the shit out of this movie. But for me, I think the biggest thing for me was this movie suffered from what a couple characters in the Marvel Cinematic Universe suffer from, and that's a deviation from character when the characters were kind of solid to begin with. when you have Agent Coulson in his cameos in the first handful of movies, and then we see him and he's this badass, and then he's gone. But then it's like, okay, we're going to carry him over into Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and his character is not at all close to what he was in the like the caliber that he was in the movies. Then you get somebody like...
Well, hold on. He has nothing in the movies. He's not a badass in the movies. They don't do anything with him in the movies. He's there. He's hanging out with S.H.I.E.L.D. Does he even... I mean, I guess he has like one fight scene with Loki in Avengers, right? Before he dies?
Yeah, but
with
no,
the gun.
But he was also...
a fight scene.
He was also in...
Stab scene.
The thing is they built him up. They had little things where you were like, oh, who's this cool agent-looking guy, right?
Hey, I mean, when they first started, it was just a... he wasn't
He had
anything,
the cameos,
but...
and then he had a little bit more, and then Avengers, it was the big thing, and he had this, man crush on Captain America.
Yeah, that was
like
all
it was.
Avengers.
It was like, okay, but then once he transitioned to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., the character just took this turn that was even worse than what he was before. Then you have Drax.
I will disagree with that because I'm not a huge fan of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but he's the exact same character. They do more with him in one episode of S.H.I.E.L.D. than they did in any of the Avengers movies because the show is about him, right? So,
and then you get to the Drax's character, which the change from Guardians 1 to Guardians 2 is like a completely different character.
Terrible.
And it's a horrible change. So going from Thor to Dark World to Ragnarok, Thor transitions, I think, fairly well from the first one to the second one.
And in Avengers, Thor's Thor.
Avengers, he's Thor.
Yeah.
But then you get to this movie, and it's like this complete... Yeah. It's not Thor that we've
Right.
that we've grown to enjoy. And, it was something that they kept very secret and very well done, and then they kind of, he loses his eye in this.
Yeah.
Which is like, okay, now you're, the whole Odin transition thing.
Yeah.
But to me... the character that transitioned to Odin wasn't Thor. It was the guy that was rooming with the guy on the shorts.
Let me read Julian's little thing here, and then I know Bryce is just...
He's itching.
He's just...
I'm very calm.
He's already... Serenity now. He's already up.
I'm very...
Julian said, my biggest issue with Ragnarok is one of character tone. Mm-hmm. Cap, Iron Man, and Black Widow are established and act the way you expect them to in the movies. Hell, they even have consistent fighting styles in every film. Thor and Hulk act nothing like Thor and Hulk in this movie. Thor reads more like Star-Lord, and while I love the idea of Hulk, I love the idea of a talking Hulk, what we got was a big stupid baby instead of the way they handled him in Earth's Mightiest Heroes from a few years ago. Humor is fine in moderation, but when it screws up characters, that Valkyrie intro, he doesn't like the way they introduce Valkyrie, it goes too far. Kids like Valkyrie, look, I don't give two shits about Valkyrie. They show the real Valkyrie very briefly in the movie. She's the one that gets killed protecting this Valkyrie. But I thought this version of Valkyrie, again, it's not Valkyrie, but I thought she was a cool enough character.
I don't mind her character, but the introduction of her character is a joke.
But that's the character, right? She's a survivor guilt. She's
survivor's guilt.
Drunk,
but the thing is
trying to bury her pain through.
If she's trying this, but she's trying to bury her pain, but she's also recruiting people for.
Well, that's how she's doing it because she doesn't care about herself anymore.
To me, it was just the scene felt like, oh well, we kind of wrote ourselves into this. There's a big group of people taking down Thor. We need some badass to take it down, but we can't have it too serious because this character is already down and out as it is. So we have to make sure she's down and out. I don't know. It to me, it just didn't.
They write that scene of,
and then hold on,
Valkyrie has to capture Thor,
and then
so we have to show a scene where Valkyrie's badass. It's not we wrote these people capture Thor. Who could take her out? It's like the opposite, but.
The thing is and I don't know about you, but this bothered the shit out of me. Why the hell did Thor keep saying that thing that Black Widow was saying to Hulk to calm him down?
Because he's trying to calm him down. Any other way to...
But it was so bad.
Wait, why was that bad, or why did that bother you? He was trying to calm Hulk down, and that's what he knew worked.
It didn't make any sense.
But it literally worked.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
It was literally the last thing that calmed him down. What doesn't make sense about that?
What calmed him down was seeing her again.
But that's what
calmed him down.
But he was trying to calm her down.
He couldn't really, as far as he knew, show him her. So all he could know is saying what she said. How does that not make sense?
Do you have a better suggestion?
Yeah, scratch the script you got for this movie and write a new one.
Okay, moving on.
Bryce.
I mean, I'm gonna have, I think, Survivor's Guilt coming away from this review so far.
105 out of 10.
No,
Best
definitely
Marvel
not.
movie
So
of all
I
time.
give this movie a B+.
Whoa, hey.
Yeah.
We're pretty even.
We are very close. Yeah, no. I mean, I really, really liked this movie. But as I described to two very handsome gentlemen over a couple beers after the movie, that you were begged to join and said, "No, I have to go play Mario Odyssey at home by myself."
Leanne got her car hit. Someone hit her car while she was waiting.
Well, I'll tell you right now that if you'd come with us to the bar, that wouldn't have happened. So, now who has Survivor's Guilt? No? Okay. That's terrible to hear. So I'm sorry to hear that. But anyway, Thor was amazing. So, so I would...
Thor was amazing. B+.
I would... no, it was amazing. And
I need to know what astonishing is.
B+ was is a very good grade. I think that A should only be reserved for like the best of the best, and I would probably only give Avengers 1 and Guardians 1 and
I think I had 5 movies in my A's.
Man, I don't
Does
know.
that make you the bigger fanboy here?
I'm the real Marvel fan here. Yeah.
There's a bunch of other ones that are like practically A's, if not A's. But
I can go over my list if you want. I update it every time there's a new movie.
Look,
My power
we
ranking.
have been over this so ad nauseum that I can't imagine that people that aren't already sick of me are sick of me after repeating that I like your lists when they are succinct and actually
It's
fucking
only 17
relevant.
movies.
It's when you start to read comics that are delayed and you read 20 comic books like anybody gives a fuck that I think that your lists are awful.
Well, would you like to hear my list ranking the Marvel
Rankings and
movies?
rating systems are different than just like a list of comic books that are going to be delayed a week. By the way, anyway, I think that only like the best of the best Marvel movies are A's, and I think that the ones that are not, that are almost the best of the best, understandably get A minuses. And I would not put this in the almost best of the best, which is why it gets a B+. If you follow that logic,
What'd you like? What you didn't like?
so I think that. To sort of come at it from the back end, which I love to do, I have to say that if you didn't like this movie, you are an unfun-liking grandpa fun police grump, and you need a lot more love in your life. Because what they did with this movie was they said, okay, we have this take on Thor that we've done for 2 movies in a row. Let's get a totally different director in here. Let's take the tone and the feeling of this movie and just totally alter it. And let's make something wildly different. I don't think that was any surprise to anybody within Marvel when they got a comedy director to direct a Thor movie, what they were going to get. I mean, anybody that thinks that this Tahiti Watati, I can't even pronounce his name, but anybody that saw the new director that they were going to get and expected the same movie as Thor 1 or 2, it's like, what are you even doing with your life? Like, this guy is not going to do Thor 3 as you know it. And so the fact that it was wildly different was refreshing. I think that the fact that it was, a lot of the humor elements, by the way, that were in it were great deadpan humor, which in my opinion, and this is going to be to each his own, but I think that deadpan humor, in fact, you might agree because it's much more British. Deadpan humor, I think, is much more funny than just slapstick comedy. I did not like the slapstick elements of Guardians 2.
Yeah.
Or any, non-comic, any movie ever or any TV show ever. Or I'm not a big fan of slapstick comedy. So I loved how much of the comedy was just deadpan. They would just sort of drop a line and not necessarily laugh about it. I actually really liked the chain turning twice. I love the fact that it was sort of an awkward, the chain turning around when he's talking to Surtur. That's sort of an awkward joke, and I understand that you didn't like it. And then sort of doubling down on that and having the chain turn around again. I think that I'm the only one in the room that actually thought that was funny. But I like it when directors sort of have the balls to be like, you know what, some people are going to love this and some people are going to hate it, but we're going to fucking double down on it, and that's going to make the people that love it even more, and the people that hate it even more. And I fucking love the fact that he grabbed his balls and he said, people are going to hate this, but I'm still going to do it. I mean, and this, by the way, extends to the next thing I'm going to bring up, which is the shake weight joke. I did not like the shake weight joke. I thought that was one of the 1.5 potty jokes, if you will, of the entire movie.
Don't get Brock started on that anus.
He does love to talk about that. So
Guardians 2 is the dick. This is the butt.
So anyway, I thought that the shake weight joke was a rare miss in the movie. I think that going back to the whole fun police thing, I mean, it's crazy to me that you take, to parallel it to the DC universe, you take these characters that are, in Superman's case or Hope Man's case, like this
fucking troll ass. You're the biggest fucking hypocrite of all time. Hope Man in this case.
Do I have that doofy laugh?
That in there? Yeah, you did. Just drop that in there.
Well, I had to, speaking to the actual number one hypocrite, which is you. But so look, you have this character that you know from the comics, which is this bright, inspiring, actual ray of hope in the world, and then you're given this movie that he's this mopey, down, frustrated, angry character that he was in his first two movies, and you're like, oh, DC, Zack Snyder. Excellent work. Oh, this is such a good interpretation. I'm glad that DC is taking a risk and changing things with their movies. Marvel. What a great job you've done with your cinematic universe. And then they go and they have Thor make a huge left pivot in a different direction, but certainly it's a pivot from where he's been traditionally.
It's not the direction that I like. I like my movies darker. I want more Winter Soldier and Dark Knight.
Right,
I don't
but what
want
happens
Guardians
is that
2.
when you and other people in this room are going on Twitter saying that it was bad because of your opinion, that might make people not want to see an actual good movie. Well, I know, but I was talking about other people.
You could just say my name. I'm fucking right here.
Say my name. Say my name. Well, I didn't want to call you out.
I'm sorry. I'm trying to hold it up to some caliber of, character and story, but it didn't hit that. It looked good.
Okay.
I don't even think it looked good. That Hulk stuff looked terrible.
Oh my God. So I also I have so much more to say. Okay, look. So I just want to wrap up that thought. Basically, talk about number one hypocrite. You are crazy if you're I like the tonal shifts in some characters, but I don't like it in other characters. Therefore, it's a bad movie. Therefore, I'm going to go out on social media and broadcast that it's not worth seeing. When it actually is worth seeing.
You're talking about me?
No, he's still talking about me.
I'm still not talking about you.
Okay.
You have to clarify it. You have to say whose name it is.
I don't actually. It's always going to be interpreted if I'm talking shit. It's about Higgins. Anyway, so look, it was great, and the whole thing with Korg. I understand Charlie's point about how a lot of people didn't like their take on Korg. I love the fact that if you're going to have these characters that are 90% they're supposed to be serious badasses, and then you have some guy with that comes out of absolutely left field.
That's the director. That's his
Right.
voice.
Yeah.
Yes, thanks both of you. I actually knew that, but thank you. To actually come way out of left field and make this character that you expect when he walks up to have this deep booming voice, and to actually have it be absolutely nothing like that. That was another great little mini twist of the multitude that were in this movie. This movie had a lot of fun elements that you should absolutely grab your significant other and go see with, because it has plenty of awesome action. And it's got a lot of light elements that'll make you laugh, and very few, although not devoid, of moments that'll make you facepalm. Hela, as Higgins already said, was a great villain. I think that she's the second best villain, and it's crazy that I think that the two best villains are of the Marvel Cinematic Universe are both in Thor's universe, and they were both in this movie.
She's top 5, maybe top 3. She's really good.
What, of Marvel or
it's the cinematic
superhero?
stuff. It's the cinematic stuff. Yeah, she's really good.
Well, she's no Mandarin. Just kidding. Okay, so yeah, Hela was really incredible. I could not believe. Apparently, Cate Blanchett Cate Blanchett was looking really good, but also, by the way, she's an incredible actress. So. Her portrayal of Hela was just really convincing, really spooky and dark, really good.
Can we talk about the Warriors 3 going out like fucking punks? What's up with that?
I think that was a callback to the Transformers cartoon movie where they just kill off everyone you know and like right in the first 15 minutes.
Did they do that? They kill what's his face way late in this movie.
So yeah,
I didn't like that. I didn't like that.
Yeah, that's a bummer. Certainly don't like to see the Warriors 3 go out like punks, because I do agree that they did. But
I guess they're gods. It's just
I mean, the movie was plenty long, and it was definitely full. Like, how much more screen time did you want?
Why even have them now? Then at that point, just be like, oh, they're off world.
What are you talking about? If they weren't in it, it would be like, hashtag,
I'd rather have.
What's the fucking?
Imagine if they killed Sif.
Justice for Barb. Oh my god, I'm so annoyed with your Justice for Barb people. Like, and I know that you're one of them. Oh yeah. Yeah,
I don't like Stranger Things enough to be a Justice.
Or maybe
for Barb
you said
guy.
it was Leanne. I remember talking to you, and we were on opposite sides of the pew about this. Opposite sides of the pew, is that a thing? I think that it is.
Sure.
Well, it is fence.
Well, it is now.
No, I just don't have him in it. I don't see why you kill him off like that. That's so weird.
Well, I think that the whole idea is that it's Ragnarok, and almost all the gods die that they can have die, and then the rest are leaving Asgard to start a new world. Like, why not have the gods die if the movie's called Ragnarok? Can you imagine if they didn't die, and then you, troll, come around and you're like, oh, Ragnarok, a lot of gods sure died in this movie.
But it's not... I mean, it's Ragnarok...
It's called Ragnarok and a bunch of gods die. Like,
kind of accidentally. But no, a bunch of gods don't die. The only people that die
Hela kills, like, almost all of Asgard. What?
The only people that you see die are the Warriors 3 and like all the random faceless troops there, like
the red shirts.
Yeah,
Wait, I actually have a real question.
Odin dies. I mean, I guess if Odin dies, that's Ragnarok, right?
Odin dies. The Warriors 3 die. Thor almost dies. I mean, he loses his eye.
The hammer's dead.
Do we think this is actually a question? Do we think? Okay, because again, I've read a lot of Thor comics. People said he does it like an Aaron's run when Thor's young. Thor having like lightning powers, like that's not a thing, right? I mean, this.
What are you talking about? Why is that not a thing?
It's the hammer. It's not Thor. Thor doesn't have lightning powers. I mean, that's not a thing. That's not a thing from the comics.
What? Why? Why is it not a thing?
Have you ever seen him do that in the comics?
Absolutely. In Thor 162 with Jack Kirby.
You're just full of bullshit right now.
It's because I can't summon a poker face. I have no poker face. My parents didn't bless me with a poker face.
I'm not going to say...
Just because I keep smiling.
I'm not going to say he's never done this.
I'm a happy man. Bloody smile.
But this is something new to the movie. But what I like to think, and I don't remember, I wish I could credit who told me this. I think it was a customer here.
Probably me.
It definitely was.
They said that they thought it's not actually like him summoning lightning. It's he now has the Odin Force because he's now the ruler of Asgard. He's the next in line for the ruler of Asgard. So while it is coming down as lightning, he doesn't actually control lightning. I mean, again, it's still the hammer that does it, but he's using that Odin Force now that he is the ruler of Asgard. And I was like, oh yeah, I like that. I mean, maybe not necessary for the movie, but for a comic nerd, like, yeah, sure, I'll buy that explanation. That works.
That's a great call. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
I've always thought that he is the God of lightning or thunder. Why can't he?
Yeah, he's the god of thunder, not the god of lightning. The hammer is what does it. So
yeah, I don't know. I like the idea that he's the god of thunder.
He's not the god of hammers.
With
Brock laughed at a Thor joke.
Yeah, when you say it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Should have been in the movie then.
The delivery. See, it all depends on the delivery. And
Higgins, it's no surprise.
Thor didn't deliver.
If you did a movie, Brock would laugh at the whole thing.
When Batman
I fucking would not.
When Batman said, "You're not the god of hammers," I laughed so hard. It's better when DC did it, so.
Yeah, well, understandably. Okay, so I also want to talk about how, Fenris was awesome.
Fenris is cool. I really like Fenris.
And I even like how they name dropped that Fenris was Loki's son. Did I imagine that? That's real, right?
Yeah.
That Loki mentioned that it was his son? Because it is mythologically, and so that was pretty cool. That
I think they kind of like hand-waved.
Yeah.
They kind of like, yeah. They don't really go into it.
I thought that Get Help was hilarious.
I did not. Okay. When he throws him at him, that was funny.
That's the joke.
But the whole, I don't know, the whole kind of lead into it was like, this is weird. Again,
you have no soul.
Not Thor and Loki, right?
It's a good thing you're not a breeder, because your kids would just grow up so angry.
Oh, God, that scene where they revealed, Thor's oh, look, it's you, Loki, where he's having that play and stuff.
Okay. So,
awesome.
once again, I don't know who white people are. I had no idea who anyone in that scene was. Leanne's like, oh, that's blah, blah. And
Sam Neill and Matt Damon.
sure,
It was,
I guess.
you didn't recognize
Fucking
them?
Jurassic Park.
And another Helmsworth, I guess, was Thor? I
Oh,
guess?
really?
Yeah.
I did not know who Thor was,
Yeah,
but
I know.
I mean, you recognize Sam Neill and Matt Damon. Like,
No.
You didn't
Oh, it
recognize
was
Sam Neill?
hilarious.
No.
Oh my god, it was.
I'm watching it and I'm
You
like,
quote him all the time.
I love Sam
Baby
Neill.
smell.
yeah, I know him in Jurassic Park clothes. I don't know him in whatever he was wearing. Like I saw she's like, that's Matt Damon. It's Matt Damon's face, and I'm like, okay, I'll take your word for it. I have no idea what Matt Damon looks like.
You're just
apparently.
racist against white people.
I am. I can't tell you people
They
apart.
all we all look the same to him.
Yeah.
That may or may not be true. Anyway, so I loved the Gladiator stuff, and look, I understand the frustration of Charlie's that that Planet Hulk was a part of this movie, but at the end of the day, we're not going to get a Planet Hulk movie, and so the fact that it was done considerable justice, although don't get me wrong, I would absolutely love a Planet Hulk movie by itself, of course. But I'm just saying, if you're not going to get one, they did a great job of giving us Hulk in gladiator clothes, which you're not going to get in any other movie, and you can't disagree with any of that. Mostly because
we could get it
you're across the store.
We could get it in a Planet Hulk movie.
No, you can't. We just said this.
I
there
literally
will never be a Hulk movie.
That's just exactly what I just said.
It's because Paramount owns the distribution rights.
Oh my god.
I believe that's the case, at least.
Anyway, so we're seeing as how that's not going to happen. We got it in this movie. You should be thankful that we got it in this movie. They have Hulk in gladiator clothes, and he fights the fucking shit out of Thor. That was such an awesome fight. Oh dear.
Toby was saying Universal has the distribution
Universal.
rights.
Sorry, not Paramount. Yes.
Okay, well, whatever. Anyway, Hulk in gladiator outfit fighting Thor, like just beating each other to a pulp with Loki with color commentary in the background. That was an awesome fight, and they're in a gladiator arena, and it's an incredible little homage. The fact that we got any Planet Hulk in this movie was great. I actually, again, I'm going to be the minority in this opinion, is that I actually like Baby Hulk. I think that it really personifies the fact that he's just a bumbling idiot, and
But he's not like that in the other movies.
But again, like, I mean, first of all, there's the whole element that I say in every movie review, Marvel or DC or non-comic, is that a lot has to do with perceived expectation going into the movie. And if you think that you're going to get your standard Avengers-related movie, you're just wrong. If you're willing to like open yourself, so I also didn't read. I mean, to the point of how you opened this conversation, like I didn't read any of the reviews. I saw the number that it got on Rotten Tomatoes, and I saw in general. I mean, there's some stuff that you can't ignore, like saw the fact that everybody was saying that it was like so funny, and I did see the aggregate number that Rotten Tomatoes gave it, but I didn't read any of them about whatever the select verbiage that you used. But try to go into it, knowing that it's supposed to be funny, but not knowing any of the jokes. I mean, part of Brock's review was talking about how the trailer was misleading. It's like, well, fucking. If that's part of your argument, then I have an easy solution for you: is to not watch the trailers.
It wasn't that the trailer was misleading. It was the trailer gave the joke, the tone of jokes we were going to get throughout the entire movie, and gave away some of the best jokes I would have laughed at. Because I actually laughed at the trailer when we first saw the trailer.
But you literally are
but afterwards
agreeing with me that if that was part of your problem, I have a very simple solution for you, which is to not watch trailers. I mean, you just said that some of the greatest jokes were given away in the trailer. You just said it.
Yeah.
In fact, you've said it twice.
Yeah.
So I have a solution for you. Don't watch the trailers.
Yeah, you were outside during all the trailers.
Yeah, so here's a very easy thing is
watch trailers?
When trailers start, just go outside. And go outside of the theater. Your seat, as long as you leave your sweater there, will still be there. I some good friends holding down the fort. But yeah, I stayed outside for the entirety of the trailers. And look, I'm not saying that you have to do this. If you like enjoy the trailers, then fair play, but don't use that as fodder for not liking something because you sat through the trailers and then stuff was spoiled for you and then you like something less because of it.
Yeah, I mean, you hope they don't give the best joke away in the trailer, but of course they're going to.
I literally did not know Cate Blanchett was the bad guy.
All white people look the same to you?
Well, because I thought that Cate Blanchett was older, and I was like, wow, that girl looks a lot like Cate Blanchett. That's like crazy.
I have no idea what Cate Blanchett looks like.
That's like crazy good casting. She was like this ancient old lady elf in Lord of the Rings a decade ago, or however long ago that was. And so somehow I was like, wow, like they got this girl to look just like Cate Blanchett. And of course it was Cate Blanchett, which I figured out throughout the movie when we saw her more and more. But, yeah, that was great. I really thought that there'd be an infinity gem in this movie. Sorry, an infinity stone in this movie.
Wasn't there? What was the...
No, I mean the new one. Because we were still missing the soul gem, right?
Well, we saw the rusty old Infinity Gauntlet, and then we saw...
Yeah, how awesome is that when he knocks it to the side, yeah. Yeah, we saw the Cosmic Cube, and Loki gives it the eyebrow raise. That was awesome. I love the action such as it was incredible. Like the Led Zeppelin in the beginning and at the end, those are great. The battle with Fenris and Hulk, that's great. Thor fighting Surtur at the beginning and the Thor fighting Hulk. I mean, like the action is great. I'm not really sure what happens with Grandmaster. I love Marvel's attempt at getting their own Wonder Woman with the Valkyrie there. So much as they can do. But yeah, there's a lot of awesome moments in this movie. I don't think that it's almost perfect, and I would say A- is almost perfect. And don't get me wrong, I use perfect with air quotes. But if A- is almost perfect, I don't think this was almost perfect because it certainly had enough foibles that I give it the next rung down, which is B+, which is still great in my opinion. I still think it was an incredible movie. And I definitely recommend anybody to go watch it because...
Where does it rank compared to the other Thors?
Well, so we also talked about this, like, it's such apples and oranges that it's, like, so difficult to compare. I mean, all three Thors are really very different movies. I mean, origin stories are always going to be compared differently than any other movie subsequent to them because they have to spend, by their definition, they have to spend half the movie talking about the, how this character or characters came about. Mm-hmm. And then Dark World, I thought was, separately great, but, an action movie that didn't deal with the origin, but really, other than a couple, lighthearted moments, wasn't very funny at all. Whereas this was, deadpan funny with great action scenes front to back. So, I mean, it's sort of a cop-out answer, saying apples to oranges, because that's so easy to say. But I do have to watch it more, and I have to sleep on it more. But I would probably say that, I like it the most now. Now, if I were to go back and watch all three Thors, would my reviews change? Almost certainly. No. But right now, I probably like this Thor the most of the three.
All right. I'm sure we'll have more to say about Thor in the next 2 weeks. I know it did, 121 U.S. domestic box office, so that's good. I think it broke 400 worldwide already. So
these numbers of any
obviously
movie
another big hit,
breaking records. Like it's such non-news, isn't it? Like any new blockbuster, like next year, aren't all the records going to be broken again? And isn't it the same?
They don't, though. I mean, Last Jedi won't beat Force Awakens, I don't think, and this did higher than the other Thors, but the other Thors were pretty low on the Marvel.
Yeah, like I think like Last Jedi is going to do fairly well in the theaters, but a lot of people, like opening weekend, a lot of people are going.
Yeah, it'll do.
A lot of people I've talking to are
very
like,
well.
Yeah, I'll see it the first week.
Oh, it'll be the biggest movie of the year, no question. It's just
Last Jedi.
Yeah,
but it's not.
What about Justice League?
Justice League will do good. They're tracking around 100 million right now. Opening weekend, Thor did a little higher than anticipated. So Justice League, if the reviews are good, could break 110, 115. I don't think it's going to do Batman v Superman numbers, which is like 160. I think
Justice League won't do Batman v Superman, even though it has Batman and
not unless the reviews are really good. I mean, Wonder Woman did a lot better than anticipated opening weekend because the reviews are very strong. If Justice League. If the reviews come out and it's a 38 on Rotten Tomatoes or something like that, it'll be 100, 110 opening weekend. I mean, it could go 120, 130, maybe. I mean, it could be Thor, but if reviews come out and it's like a 98 on Rotten Tomatoes, then yeah, maybe you'll see like 150. But BVS turned people off, and I don't think anyone's expecting this to do BVS numbers. Even though people hated it, BVS did really good despite the numbers. But it tanked week 2. Justice League, like Wonder Woman, hopefully, again, reviews stay strong, you'll have solid weeks 2, 3, and 4. And Thor should have a killer week 2. There's nothing in the theater, right? I mean, what's that even out now? There's nothing until Justice League next week. So
I don't know. I don't even know. I stepped up for all the trailers.
Yeah. I don't think that Snowman movie's gonna take it away at the box
What about
office.
the Milkman movie? Would that make
oh
a
my
lot
god!
of money?
If there was a Milkman Man movie, it's the greatest movie of
And
all
it
time.
just makes $12 from year one ticket.
That's all I need. I'm at least $17.99 for the IMAX. Okay, I'm at least $18 for the IMAX.
Hey, they're being
version.
selective on what they're doing on IMAX now.
Milkman Man's coming to IMAX. Don't you worry.
I'm not sure it is.
All right, that is our podcast, and yeah, like I said, we'll keep tabs on Thor, at least until Justice League comes out.
So
and yeah.
what?
Go on our
2
Facebook
seconds.
group and let us know what you guys thought of the movie. We have a couple threads in there. We have our little review scales. I put up my every time there's a new Marvel Cinematic movie, I put up my hot takes.
Your list?
My list.
I love that list.
I'll keep updating it.
One
Black
of the few
Panther's
lists of yours that I love.
Black Panther's out in February. So
That's right.
Dude, you didn't see that trailer? Heard that new trailer?
Yeah, spoiler alert, I did not see that trailer.
Really good. Like it looks like it could be as good as Winter Soldier. It looks real good. So again, fingers
Well,
crossed.
I'll tell you right now, I'm going to see it,
Yeah.
and I don't need to see the trailer to know that.
Yeah, fingers crossed. All right, we got some Patreon guys. We got to thank. It's the beginning of the month, so we're going to thank all our $5 and up backers on Patreon. Let's thank our big tier guys first. That's Julian Titus. That's the Nerds of Love Pants podcast at pixelbit.com.
No pants.
Got those no pants
Oh, Toby.
going on. Ryan Hess has Blowhards. It's a video game podcast. You should check that out at blowhards.libsyn.com. Jody, and I know Ryan got his Mario Odyssey Switch, playing some Mario Odyssey, so it's good stuff. Jody Lawson is Canon, the Triad Comics anthology at triadcomicstudios.com. We also want to thank our good friends of No Place, Sam Chea, Talon Bray, Craig Anderson, and Joe Duff. Thank you guys all very much
Thank you.
for your donations every month. But we got to thank our big list of people, so let's see
Thank you to all patrons.
all patrons.
Everything that you donate, if it's a quarter or $1 million.
It's $1 is the base one.
Oh, yeah,
well,
it's $1 now.
well, thank you just the same. It means a lot.
We're going to thank all patrons, but we're also going to thank these guys because we have a tier where we like to thank you guys once a month. So let's go through this, and hopefully my voice holds up because, I don't know, I'm out of water. We have Dennis Jansen, Samurai Godzilla, Alex McHale, Matthew Schnapp, David Baroldi, Don Kilson, Mark Long, Michael Zach Kevick, Ivan Leskanik, Brian Morawski, Mason Barber, Miles Gakula. I've said these names a bunch, and sometimes my brain just shuts down. Rich Guerrera, Matthew Holmes, Paula Schultz, Mark Smith, Blake Etheridge, Keith Amaral, David Polanco, Christopher Noyes. He was with us. Seen Thor. Mm-hmm. Kevin Nguyen, David Sfar, Tyler Wiltis, Rob Ben Dixon, Chris Freeman, Mike Coonrad. What's this? Sorry, I completely ran right past a person. Amanda Penman Crone, Arbon Bergi. I am terrible at pronouncing people with foreign names. Sorry. Christopher Stone, and I'm also terrible at pronouncing people with American names. Sick Comics, Timothy, Corey Shimolor. Sure, that sounds right.
Just keep going. We know. They all know. They all know you're horrible.
I'm terrible. Aaron Wright, Father Dante, Matt Anderson, Brian Wilson, Nick Harrison, Chris Palaki, Kevin Ellis, Chris Olivis. See, I should really pronounce some of these names before I do this. Christina Tatone, Willa Ansari, Mario Mirando, Chris Kim, Bob Learned, Chris Bunch. Hey, it's Chris. Gordon McKenzie, J.R. Burak, Stephen Hayden, Edgar Moreno, and Andu Cuscieri, of course. Thank you guys all very, very much. Sorry for butchering your names like I always do.
I think some of them actually enjoy you butchering their name because it's funny at this point.
I don't think it is.
Probably none of them.
I think they hate it. Yeah, and they're like, "Why isn't this
Well, I don't think
white
they
guy
hate it.
learn how to pronounce a name?"
They probably cringe every time. They're just like, Jesus.
Yeah,
how
it's
much more money do I
terrible.
need to give you, Higgins?
Just tell me if I'm mispronouncing your name horribly.
Just send you like an audio DM of how to say their
No,
name.
just give me a pronunciation guide because I'm terrible at it. Go to comicconspiracypodcast.com, geekbox.net, or iTunes. you can rate and review us. The Comicspiracy at geekbox.net or that contact forum. You can send us some long form questions there. Or apparently my Twitter DM. Thanks, Julian. Patreon.com/Comicspiracy. Again, you can kick us a couple bucks on there, and we will read your name on this podcast. You get some cool swag if you're a high-tier backer. Get some plugs and promos here. So if you want to plug your podcast or
to things like Bryce Brieflies.
Yeah, if you want to plug your podcast or whatever.
True.
Yeah, we got that almost 2-hour Briefly the other week.
I'm ready for another one. A bargain at twice the price.
Digital.
You do know you can use more characters on Twitter now, right?
Wait, is that live?
It's live, baby. 280 characters.
I'm not sure that I need more characters to put in more eye-rolly emojis at anything that Higgins says.
So, would you like to take the 280 character challenge and come up with your favorite 280 X-Men characters?
It doesn't work like that because they're more than one character, bro.
But it's fine because we can have your list of your top 280 X-Men characters.
I can
in chronological in list order.
I can write my list. Excuse me. I can write my list of the best X-Men characters that won't get to 280, but I can do as many as fit.
Oh, I think you could fit 280. You'll get down to the dregs, but you could do it.
Yeah, you can.
Wait. What are you talking about? There's 280 character limit.
That's the joke.
The joke. We want your favorite 280 X-Men characters. It's a joke.
Oh.
But it'd be funny if you came up with your top 280 X-Men characters.
Well, I think that only you and Brock think that's funny.
And then we tweet that out. Conspiratobrock.com, that's Brock's... digital.comicsconspiracy.biz. Comixology is having some weird stuff where they're not putting like the sales and special stuff at the front, so make sure you click that sales button up top. Like the front page is like kind of static now. It's weird. It's on everyone's site as far as I know, ours included, and their regular site. So yeah, I don't know what's going on with that. Just make sure you go through Patreon Comixology. And
Comixology.
Yeah,
or go through Patreon.
Or go through Patreon, too. You won't find any comics there.
Just go to comicsconspiracy.biz, click on digital, you're fine.
Yeah. Conspiratobrock.com, that's Brock's blog and video pull list. Wanderers of the Fourth Dimension podcast, that's Charlie's Doctor Who podcast. And Etsy.com/shop/Leanne Hill Art, that is Leanne's Etsy store. And finally, Leanne's print of the Comicspiracy podcast, Crew, is up for sale on our website at comicsconspiracy.biz. It's $14.99. Comes nice rolled, signed by the entire cast, as well as signed by Leanne. We're going to take orders for a couple weeks, get them printed up, and get them out here. So you have a few weeks to if you want to get in that initial shipment. My goal is to ship out roughly the first week of December for the first batch of people. We already got a couple orders.
I get a feeling I'm going to be doing this.
Well, yeah, you're my shipping receiving manager.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so go on comicsconspiracy.biz, and if you scroll down a little bit, it's under Leanne's. She's got a thing there with all her art, and yeah, you can pick up our print there. On Twitter, Ryan Higgins Ryan, now at 280 characters. Bio. Brock is Brock Sager, also at 280 characters, unfortunately. Bryce is Larsen Bryce. Toby is Toby XI. He's in the back. I don't know what he's doing. Charlie's Insanity and Chaos. The store is Comics Con Store. Geekbox, Comedy Button, Good Job Brain, I'll Talk Podcast, and the Manga Machinations. Check those guys out as well.
Toby's using that shake weight.
Is he?
His Scourge left behind.
He's going to leave his Scourge behind. All over my nice clean couch over there.
Oh, God. Why do you got to keep going? That's like the second turn of the chain.
I know. I was going to say, yeah, it's just a bad Marvel movie joke. Just goes way too long.
Or just a bad Higgins joke.
Or also, like this podcast, it just goes way too long. So I don't know what Toby's problem is. He's been sitting in the back of the store for an hour. This is at the end of the episode, so hopefully you listened and didn't delete while we were talking about our stuff on Patreon, like I'm sure you all do. Because if you went to delete it, you'd be like, wait, why the fuck is there like 15 more minutes of this podcast past the outgoing credits? So, Toby, one, what's your problem? And two, how'd you like Thor?
Wait, I have a question. Is this the...
Okay, good. Glad we went back to record.
Is this the end of the episode, or is this going to be separate?
No, it's going to be at the end of the episode.
Oh! Tobias, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, for those of you that sat through the whole 2.5 hours, let me just introduce you to the man, the legend, the Thor not lover of the Comic Conspiracy Podcast, Toby Sidler!
I actually have no idea what Toby thought of Thor, because when we left the theater, he was like really weird about it, so I'm very curious.
Let me give you guys some color as to why Toby was really weird before he can speak up for himself, which he's perfectly capable of doing. He was let me paint a picture for the audience. We're in the wild savannah of the AMC 20 in Cupertino at Valco, the Dawn of the Dead Mall. We get out of this movie, and I'm with Toby, by the way, in this story. He's like the little boy from Monsters Unleashed, and I'm like, well, what's that Cockney chick that fights monsters? What's her name? Yeah, she's yeah. Oh, Jesus, you're the worst. Bloodstone. Elsa Bloodstone, you're welcome. Okay, so I'm Elsa Bloodstone, and Toby is the kid that can draw monsters, because he can draw really well. So we're surrounded by trolls. All sorts of trolls. Not the trolls from, like, the Thor movies, which would have been, frankly, awesome. It would have been a lot better, but we were surrounded by trolls of other denizens of the theater who had watched the movie and had nothing but bad things to say about it. But lo and behold, there was a true light shining through, and that was me. But there was also Toby, who was with me, and he had an opinion.
Again, the troll is named Brock.
And then there was Toby, who did not love the movie nearly as much as myself. I'll let him eventually speak for himself. But Toby, what did you think about this movie?
I liked it.
Did you?
Yeah.
Toby, the night of, if you had to give it a grade, a letter grade, what would you have given it?
You can tell the people because I've told you.
I already did before you got here. Keep going. Keep going.
Did?
Yeah, keep going.
Well, I was giving it an A- or a B+. Now, over more thinking, I'll probably give it a solid B+.
All right, so what allowed you to give it a B+? You had to do more what?
What do you mean?
What did you have to do more of to consider the fact that...
Oh, I was going to watch it again.
Okay. I was trying to get you to say that you had to do more thinking. Okay. So, so now...
I do want to watch it one more time and to do some more thinking.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you very much. So,
Wait, motherfucker, you just set me up for something.
No, I'm not gonna set you up.
Poker face, motherfucker.
I know I don't have a poker face. It's driving me crazy. Why wasn't I blessed with a poker face, Mom and Dad? I know. I'm so happy. I just want to smile. Oh my God, it's. Well, okay. I won't actually let it come to term. Okay, how about that? Okay. All right. Look. What was your favorite character of the movie? Okay, well, who doesn't love Valkyrie? Yeah. So other than that, sorry. Oh, I love Toby. That's all that there is to it. Okay. Your favorite character was Valkyrie, as it should be, by the way. Who is she played by? No, you. No, you said it perfectly. Why are you hesitant? I've never made fun of you ever. Why? Tessa Thompson. Yes, you're right. Tessa Thompson, a nice fly lady, great actress. Okay, so Tessa Thompson, Valkyrie is your favorite character. Who is? What was your favorite joke of the movie?
Favorite joke?
Yeah, you can give me a top 2 or 3 if that's easier for you. It's supposed to be off the top of your head.
Well, I like Korg.
Korg, hilarious.
Yeah.
If you don't like Korg, you don't like fun. You probably hate life.
Jokes?
You don't like flowers.
I like some of the Hulk stuff. It's hard to say.
Okay, no problem. We can come back to it. Who was the most hated character in the movie?
Most hated?
Yeah, who was the one where you're just like,
The lamest?
Sure, the lamest, sure.
Oh, the fucking Jurassic Park man.
Sam Neill?
No, the other one.
He's literally the only one.
No, he didn't lay on its belly. He's the one that shows the belly in that picture.
What?
He's sitting like this.
What?
Like this.
Jeff Goldblum?
Yeah.
What on earth is he? Oh, Jeff Goldblum was in Jurassic Park. Of course he was. Oh, okay, the Game Master. I'm an idiot. I should have. Yes. Yeah. Okay, so you didn't like Game Master.
No.
Okay. Do you okay? Who would win in an arm wrestling competition, Game Master or the Collector? Why?
Because it's Benicio fucking Toro.
Benicio fucking Toro is, I think. I'll get to it. Okay. Okay. So.
Wait to throw us off, Ryan Higgins.
Yeah. Higgins
We're
is.
we
were in the flow. Can you just split it 50-50?
confused about what names he's
Okay. Okay, what was, in your personal opinion, the best shirtless scene with Chris Hemsworth?
There was a good one in this one. Hold on. I know, I'm picturing it right now.
Yeah, I bet you are.
He's got giant-ass fucking pecs.
Yeah, you've been dreaming about it too, me too.
Hold on, when the fuck did that happen?
Yeah, it happened.
No, it happened in the movie, and he was looking around.
It definitely did.
He saw his fucking cape, and then he put his cape on.
It's armor. It's armor.
Wait. He was in bed with the Hulk. It was right when he woke up, and he's like, why am I naked? And
that didn't.
my clothes, and then he finds his cape, puts it on, and the fucking Hulk gets
No, that's the fan fiction you read afterwards.
No,
that didn't.
that happened in the movie.
No.
Yeah, we're in the same room.
Yes, same room. Yes, you said same bed. That
I
is.
didn't say bed at all.
You said bed confirmed. That's That's the fan
I didn't say
fiction.
bed.
Okay, we'll agree to disagree. Okay, what was the best scene with Loki in this movie?
Oh, when he saw the Hulk.
Okay, that's a good answer. What was the most ludicrously hilarious commentary that Brock gave?
Wait, he's funny?
Nope, not at all. So, okay.
Wait.
Okay. All right. So, what else do we got here? What was the most badass Thor scene? I'm sorry, Thor scene that you saw.
Well, he's fucking shooting out lightning out of his penis.
That was also part of your fan fiction, but also pretty cool if it happened. Okay. What was the most awesome Hela scene?
Oh, everything.
Yeah, she was so awesome.
Badass.
She was really cool. Okay, which Hela scene is more badass? The one with deer antlers or the one with no deer antlers?
I was gonna ask her on a date, probably no deer antlers, but if not on a date, then they'll love the antlers.
Okay, true or false? Higgins definitely is worshiping Hela when he's in high school.
Absolutely.
True. So then, yes.
It's still in his closet.
Well,
Open up the closet,
I actually-
fucking Hela in there. He just can't tell his wife because then he gets fucking in bad shit trouble.
Okay, but we can agree that I asked you true or false.
Oh, then true.
Okay. All right. Good. All right. Okay. So who has a higher IQ? Idiot Hulk baby or Thor after 1,100 liters or steins of ale?
Baby Hulk.
Baby Hulk is smarter or stupider?
Smarter.
Who is stronger, Hulk or Thor?
Hulk.
Hulk. Who?
I actually have to think about these. I'm a true nerd.
Well, I don't blame you. Who is the prettiest Avenger?
I have to go with Thor.
Okay. Who is the strongest Avenger?
Go with Hulk.
Who's the smartest Avenger?
I'm gonna have to go with Hulk.
Who is the?
Or maybe actually I'm gonna have to go with Toby.
Who is the? Okay. All right. Who is the Hulk that looks most like Ryan Reynolds?
Fuck you.
Who is? Okay. Who is the Avengers character that is going to have the most appearances for the Marvel Cinematic Universe?
From now on?
No. Full stop.
For everything?
Everything.
Fucking Iron Man. It's easy.
Is it easy? Okay. Well, I didn't have this plan. I'm just pulling it out my devil's anus.
Out for you guys for your name calling again.
Why?
Because you make fun of me.
Oh! You're being a little defensive in case I want to tease you.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. That's fair. That's fair. Yeah. But I'm still gonna get you.
No.
Okay. Wow.
Maybe.
Most likely.
No.
Okay. So anyway. Okay. Out of the 3 Thor movies, where does this one rank for you?
Oh, that's tough.
It is tough.
No, because I didn't like the first one. I like the second one. I like this one, but in a different kind of way. So depends.
A good non-answer if I've ever heard one.
If you want a direct kind of more Thor-ish movie.
No way! Oh my God! Higgins,
everybody's trolling me now.
Higgins.
Thanks, Higgins. Thanks.
We were like, we've got to be 7 hours into this interview right here. Higgins just now walked over and turned on Toby's mic. This whole time, I thought that I've been talking to Toby, and we've actually had a great conversation. And fucking Toby, his mic wasn't even on. So one of two things is going to happen. This is going to be the most weird Bryce Briefly you've ever heard with Ghost Toby, or it's going to be
that would be actually funnier.
Or it's going to be like, Jesus, Bryce, if you have it like level set, it's like Bryce is fucking loud and we can barely hear Toby. Higgins comes in.
Bryce is doing the Toby bit.
Comes in 20 minutes later and turns Toby's mic on. That is fucking gold. What is wrong with you? You don't turn on your mic. There was some classic Bryce Toby interaction for the past 20 minutes, and it's been lost.
Well, it's
to
like
ether.
the last time we recorded in the garage and we didn't have any mics connected.
God damn it, Toby. God, you are the worst.
Wait, why am I the worst? He forgot to turn it on.
Why does he have to turn on
he's
your
the
mic?
fucking recording master.
Oh my God!
Well,
I am
first of all,
crying.
oh my God, that is like, it's too funny to even be real. Yeah, you're responsible for your own mic, bro.
Yeah, but he's supposed to watch the recording and watch the levels.
Okay, here's the next question. Getting back to that.
I think
from that hilarity.
he's half dying over there.
Oh my God!
Yeah, that was pretty funny. Confirmed funniest thing of this whole evening. Okay, so what is going to be better, Thor 3 or Black Panther?
Oh, fuck you. Yeah.
You can't influence the witness. He doesn't even have his mic turned on.
No, I'm wearing a fucking hat.
I know, that's what gave me the idea.
No, fuck, I don't know about this one. Black Panther Thor, man.
Okay, I like that answer.
All
Can I just say something that I did not say on the normal episode? Are you still recording this, really? Yeah. Okay, so I also totally forgot to mention the fact, what I loved about Thor was the
look?
Jack Kirby look. Yeah, that I'd forgotten because we talked about it at the bar afterwards.
Yeah.
But the Jack Kirby look, I can't believe.
No, the color palette. The color palette.
The color palette, yes. Yeah. Guardians, like everything was very Jack Kirby-esque. It looks like they just had like padded cloth, but still armor at the same time on.
Look,
and it was crazy colors, and it was so Jack Kirby, and that didn't get any mention in our entire review.
Well, we're bringing it now.
Well, yep, but your fucking mic wasn't on. I'm not even sure people are still listening.
I'm not sure if it's on at all right now.
Well, it's literally on now because of Higgins. So, you're welcome from him. Okay, what is going to be a better movie? What was a better movie? Thor 3 or Ant-Man?
Thor. What
is going to be a better movie? Thor 3 or Justice League?
Watch yourself.
You already gave me the ticket, so I can say whatever I want. I honestly don't know. I don't know what to think of Justice League yet.
They're going to be very different movies. What is going to make more money, Justice League or Thor 3?
Justice League.
I agree. What is going to have better critical reviews, Thor 3 or
Thor
Justice
3.
League? Who has a more handsome lead actor, Thor 3 or
Thor
Justice
3.
League? Yeah, I agree. Who is better looking between me and Ryan Higgins?
Oh, that's easy.
Is it Ryan Higgins?
No, it's you.
Oh, whew. All right, thank God. Who has better opinions and taste?
I think we all agree on that one.
Who has better opinions and taste of comic books, me or Ryan Higgins?
Me.
Touche, you
guys
bastard.
I was going to start my review eventually.
Okay, wait. So,
give us your review, Toby.
Yeah. Oh, did I not give it? Well, thank God that I parlayed that interview so long. Parlayed? No. Protracted.
Kept the mic hot.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Is it actually on?
It's actually
Yes,
it's warmed up now and ready
sure?
for your review.
You sure? So, in the last few Marvel movies, I've always given Marvel a bit of, what should I say, lack of balls, that they played their movies really safely. So finally, they kind of stepped out of their comfort zone and delivered something I didn't know what to expect. Like, through the movie, I didn't know what would happen next, which I really enjoyed. I mean, sure, it's a departure from what you would think a Thor movie would be, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. And yet, it was very, very much in there, like you just mentioned, the color palette of Jack Kirby, which I thought it was kind of nice little touch there. Also, it's kind of like the Defenders movie. I'm sure they would have maybe even mentioned the Defenders as a joke if we didn't have the Marvel Netflix show called Defenders. Also, I think the Valkyrie.
Yeah.
Why did you laugh earlier?
Well, because...
Why did that guy laugh earlier?
No, he's laughing because your mic wasn't turned on.
No, he was laughing because I said it weirdly.
All right, so what's her superhero name?
Mine? Fucking Toby.
No, what is...
You said mine.
Are you a her? I said, what is her?
Oh.
I said, what is her
Valkyrie.
superhero name? Yeah.
All right.
That's right.
Valkyrie.
God damn, why do you have to do that?
Okay, the Valkyrie.
Yeah.
All right, fine.
Ugh.
Well, but that's...
Fun police
But
Ryan Higgins.
she never says her name, though, right? So
Yes, they do.
Does
She's
she?
one of the Valkyries.
Yeah, but it's
yes
not
and no.
Brunhilde, right? It's not Brunhilde.
Oh, yeah, they never say Brunhilde.
No, she's
But
in the movie. You see her.
Yeah,
Higgins brought this up earlier.
So it's just not the one that we all read about.
Right,
It's a
right.
Well,
different
Tessa
one.
Thompson isn't Brunhilde.
Yeah.
So, but she's still a Valkyrie.
Yeah.
And as far as we
But
are
I kind of
concerned,
like that. It's a nice little explanation.
Totally
that
agree.
way.
Sure.
Yeah.
Love that.
Even though she's a Norse god and is not very Norsey.
Yeah, so we talked about this too. It's tough because you want diversity in
Now you could
all art
say
forms
you could
and-
say just the Norse were imagining it in their own light, and they didn't realize they had other races up there too.
Sure. Yeah, that's fine.
Done. All right, move on.
It's tricky because you want diversity in your movies, but it's a movie about Norse gods, and Norse gods are going to be probably exclusively Caucasian. But so it's like
now that you watch the movie, will you go back and watch the trailers?
I guess I wouldn't.
Are you going to talk about the stuff they cut?
No, I'm talking about the stuff that's different in the movie.
Yeah, the stuff they cut.
It's
is
not
different in the
cut.
trailer.
It's just different in
Well,
the
yeah,
movie. It's
yeah, I
different
know-
in the trailer.
I noticed that when we were watching it, when Hela breaks the hammer, I was like, isn't that like in the middle of a street or something? Because in the trailer...
Well, the trailer had two versions of it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But what I'm actually pointing out is when he loses his eye, and he only has one eye in the end of the movie, all those shots were in the trailer, but with both eyes.
both eyes, yeah,
which I thought was
yeah.
actually kind of an interesting touch.
They cut that scene of Loki with the two blades, too, when he's like...
Did they?
Yeah,
Okay.
that was in the trailer, but they cut that, too.
But what's funny, though, all the toys have two eyes.
Oh, really?
It's like none of them knew that the one eye thing was coming, so all the toys are inaccurate now.
I did keep thinking after she knocked out his eye that it was it was just wounded and it was swollen shut and so that it would come back.
That it would come back?
I was in denial until the ending credits started rolling.
yeah,
that it would just come back. I was like,
But
no, they wouldn't have Chris Hemsworth actually lose an eye. I get the whole Odin thing.
Yeah.
But I was like, they couldn't they're not going to have a Thor 4 with him being in the whole movie with an eye patch, and maybe the intent is not to have a Thor 4.
Under Infinite War, you never know what's going to happen.
Right, so in Infinity
He
War,
might have an extra arm afterwards.
well, we could all use a third arm. I already have one.
I'm sure he puts a good use.
Well, one of the things about this movie that I really liked, this is the second time the heroes are siding with either Superman or Batman has really been a great read.
What?
Oh. So if you haven't been on the Facebook group, go ahead and look at my...
What? Were you drunk when you wrote this?
What? No, I was not drunk. They're all hilarious, and they're all...
Who's David Zavaby?
He's one of the Batman characters. He's my play on Luke Cage. He's a Bat Family character that's African American.
So I'm
and
assuming-
he's lesser known.
Is there a list going on something?
He's a real character, dude. If you Google him, he's the Luke Cage of the DC universe right now. That's part of the joke. And just because you don't get it doesn't mean it's not funny.
Luke Cage.
I literally don't understand.
Wait, what is happening?
You don't understand that one, or
What
you don't
is
understand
happening
any of
right
them?
now?
I don't understand anything.
What is happening right now?
So what happened is Brian Michael Bendis has gone to DC.
Yeah.
You heard about this?
Yeah, well, of course I heard about
So
this.
I did a hilarious, and don't let anybody convince you otherwise, it is certainly hilarious, list of things that Ryan Higgins will say in 2018, tongue
I know what this is.
firmly planted in cheek. And so I did a bunch of Ryan Higgins' hypocritical comments about how the DC universe is great under the direction of Bendis.
I can think of some too.
It's written like Bryce is like 10 drinks in. Like none of it makes sense.
No.
Actually,
Well,
if you
hold on, read them out loud. Hold on, let me hear some of these.
Okay, we really gotta wrap this up.
No,
I gotta
fuck
go
that.
home.
We're having fun right now.
Yeah, we are having fun. If you read it, it actually makes a lot of sense.
And you read it in your stupid accent, so I can laugh at you, motherfucker.
I was actually 0 drinks in, so I'm not really sure what part of that argument is.
Do your Higgins accent. So
there is 0 things in here that are. I
Just
guess
read them
maybe
from top
they're
to down.
supposed to be.
From top to bottom.
All of them apply to the fact that Bendis will now be sort of running,
I guess,
like the DC universe. All of them. All 10.
This second time the heroes are siding with either Superman or Batman has been a great read. Like, that doesn't make any sense.
Okay, so
Civil War, motherfucker.
Yes,
Move on.
Exactly.
No.
Toby got it. Thank you. And by the way, if you
the
read
sentence structure does not make sense. It's not written any sort of proper
It made
grammar.
perfect sense to me, bitch.
Okay, then clearly it's not written properly.
I mean, Toby got it immediately, but like, yeah, I don't know what to tell you. These are all, they all had to fit on one line, so I abbreviated a bunch of them. But that doesn't mean that you shouldn't be able to get them. That's obviously a reference to Civil War.
Hold on. I got one. How great is it that the Justice League is consistent of the question, Black Lightning, Jessica Formomo, and yeah.
I don't know, but I'll take it.
It would be Black Canary, Huntress, the Question, and
Jessica Formomo.
And that would be his Justice League of America. Yeah, look, all of those are one-liners that you would say that relate to Bendis properties.
Rapids Men?
Jesus, you are a fucking idiot. It's Spider-Man backwards, you fucking troll. It's a play on the whole, what was his name? The Superman for the Avengers? Century. Yeah.
Okay, who's David Zavimi? Who is this?
He's an actual DC character.
Zavimi?
Yeah, man. What kind of DC fan are you?
I don't know who this character is.
I don't know who he is.
I don't know
either.
what to tell you. He's a black character and he's Batman. Is my play on Luke Cage. How else is he going to be in every Bat book? Like Luke Cage is in every Avengers book.
Okay. So the Age of Brainiac. Okay, I get that. Justice League 600. Is that X-Men 600?
Yeah.
Okay.
You're like a fucking baby. I have to explain all these jokes to you.
Reddips Man is my favorite.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
Young Black Superman and All-Star. Okay, sure. Miles Morales. Okay, no complaints about DC rebirthing every 12 months. All right, sure. Dr. Fate is a funny, sarcastic character. Who's Dr. Fate supposed to be?
No, just the fact that he makes everybody. What I was going for with that was Doctor Strange, but just how he makes every character funny and sarcastic. And I hate it when he does it with Doctor Strange.
Justice League Disassembled, selling well with so few variants. Brock and Jim giggling. Okay. Nightwing's been gay this whole time. There you go.
What? Motherfucker!
No, these are all things that he's going to say next year.
Fuck you. He's not going to be gay.
I don't know why that's a fuck me. Higgins is saying all these things.
So, Thor. Here we go.
Thor, yeah.
It's like 10 o'clock.
Two thumbs up.
Yeah. And a half.
Okay, wait. Are we going to... did you already stop it?
No, I didn't
stop it.
Okay. First question for you. Do you think we're going to get more Elders of the Universe?
They're all going to be like funky with the line under their chin.
I can see a bunch of them showing up in Infinity War.
Yeah. How awesome will it be if we can get them like all in one scene?
And Thanos kills them all.
I don't care. Like anything.
Oh, I need Goldblum and
Benicio
del Toro to meet.
Who else can you add to that cast?
Okay, so the champion has crazy wild red hair. They could get Sheamus, the WWE champion,
but there's a certain
or the
style
wrestling
to this.
guy.
There's like Benicio, Jeff Goldblum.
I mean, they could bring in Ego. I mean, he's dead, but whatever. They still bring him in.
No. He's not an Elder of the Universe, though.
Ego?
Yeah,
he is.
But
Isn't
dead.
he?
No. Not one of the. He's not one of that pantheon. Like
the
that
blue
pantheon.
Yeah.
There's like 6 of them or something.
Yeah, the Celestials aren't.
The Celestials aren't.
Not.
Yeah.
I mean, they are, but they're different. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know else.
I would love it if they would meet, and if they could get more Lothario actors to.
Hasselhoff should be one of them.
Anyway, all right, kill it.
He'll
But that
have a
was
car.
awesome.